Laredo, take us out.
Take her out.
All right. Take flight each and every Friday night. Join the fun and let's go off-world. Geek out with us live where the nerdiness will thrive. Buckle up and let's go off-world. Toys, comics, pop culture news, movies and so much more. Matthew, Jesse, Curtis, and Sean are your guides on this fun-filled tour. Take flight each and every Friday night. Join the fun and let's go off-world. Let's go off-world. Let's go off-world. Hey, hey, hey. Let's go off-world tonight.
Woohoo! We are off-world. Dude showed up just on time. How's everybody doing? I'm Curtis. I'm here with all the regular crew, plus Matt Rodriguez. We'll start over with Joe. Joe, how you doing tonight?
Fantastic. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Same. Jesse, you frozen? No, you just look like that?
Yes, I just look like this. How's it going? I'm good. I'm great.
Doing good. Dooch.
Present.
And accounted for. And Matthew Rodriguez.
Hello to all the
Whoa.
Off-world fans. What?
You're not getting away that easy, Curtis. Say
What?
that name properly.
Matthew Rodriguez.
You're disappointing.
I can't. I haven't been practicing. I got practice to roll my R's. Sorry.
Say G's name.
They know his
And then
name.
you, Matt.
They know.
I need
know.
like 2 hours of practice before every Sunday to do that.
I appreciate you guys having me on tonight, and I look forward to a wonderful show. Dooch, did your T-ball team win? I heard you had a T-ball game.
Baseball, but they lost 10-9, so just barely. But he pitched 3 innings and only allowed 5 runs. So
Got to start somewhere.
yep,
Okay.
yep.
Wait. Oh, okay. At first, I heard T-ball and then pitched. I didn't get, but you said, okay, gotcha.
No, it's
You
baseball.
corrected
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and they just got into the age of where the kids pitch.
Okay.
Before
I
this, it
I
was
didn't know how
coach
you
pitch,
pitched
so.
T-ball. I thought maybe your son just held the ball up while other people took swings at it.
Don't even get me started on T-ball. T-ball's a complete joke, but
Okay. All
The
right.
things we do for our children.
There you go.
absolutely.
Speak for yourselves, losers.
Well, we are
Jesse abandoned all
Me
his
too.
children in foreign countries, got out before they were
Screw you,
born.
dude.
Wow. Well, we've got a fun show for you planned tonight. We are going to talk some X-Men 97. We're also going to look at the amazing dinosaurs in the Defenders of Eden, Armies of Ahsmore line. Really excited to talk those, and man, I just can't wait to get those things in hand. But first, let's go around and do pickups for the week. I will move Joe over, and we will start with him. Joe, what do you got?
All right. Well, I have some cool stuff this week, I think. I mentioned on a show a few weeks back that I was waiting for the Dungeons and Dragons Brown Owlbear to go on sale before I bought it.
Mhm.
And last week, boom, it went on sale on Amazon.
Nice.
So
And you
Very
I
cool.
snagged them. So now I
And
have
and what is on
yeah, I have
sale?
the
Like
white
how
owlbear.
much? How much was it,
I'm
Joe?
gonna say it was. I think it was listed for 45 and was marked down to 35.
Okay.
It was more of
Alright.
a. It wasn't a huge savings, but I think it was more of just an excuse. You know, I talk myself out of things, and then look for an excuse to talk myself back into buying something. So
Gotcha.
it could have been like $2 off, and I'd be like, "Oh crap, it's on sale! I better grab it." So because I actually really wanted it. So yeah,
Gotcha.
so I grabbed that. I've been.
Have you ever met
collecting
anyone
the,
that didn't like that owl bear?
Everybody I've seen that's
I-
gotten it has liked it. So
the only thing that people say is that they need a wash because of the paint is a little simple on them. But
oh, I thought you meant because owl bears stink.
almost universally,
I'm sure they do.
right? I'm sure they do. Probably smell like dead bodies. But I want to display it with the white one, but I don't know what I did with the white one that I bought. So I got to track that down so I can put them on display.
All right.
But I've been I started collecting the NECA D&D line. So once I got that steel heart, I was kind of hooked. So I picked up Zarek this last week, and
Nice.
this is a pretty darn cool figure.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the steel
The
heart,
Arctic-
I think that's the least good one out of them. So if you like that one, I think you're gonna love the rest.
Well, he's a paladin, and I love paladins, so I won't say anything bad about him. But I have 3 of them so far, and all 3 of the ones that I got are killer. His daggers come out of their sheaths. I'm not going to do it right now, but
Yeah.
it's a pretty awesome figure. That it's got a butterfly joint for the elbow, but the way they did it, it's really like spaced out kind of high, so it doesn't look like a butterfly joint, which is cool. I don't know. I just feel like they did a pretty. I mean, they're not mythic legions, but they're pretty darn cool D&D figures. And,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Trevor Williams was nice enough to send me Grimsword. And this
Oh,
is a pretty
nice.
awesome figure too. I'm pretty impressed with that. So
Yeah.
and
He's big boy.
he is chunky, and he's got this cool mace that keeps swinging around, and it's really like spiky. Definitely not for kids or pets, unless
All
they're
right.
bad, and then flail them. And Trevor was nice enough to send along with the Grimsword as a surprise encyclopedia of Tolkien, which was really cool because I didn't know that this existed, but I had the Tolkien dictionary by the
No,
same author.
nice.
So yeah, that was just a coincidence, but now I've got a set.
That's really cool.
Check. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of neat. And then one last thing, I was at Walmart and was getting some food for my dog, and this for a fish
yeah.
tank, but I thought it would be a cool diorama piece.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I live in the desert. There's some sand dunes near my house.
Mhm.
So I'm cooking up something that I want to do with this in the sand dunes
That's cool.
Very nice.
relatively soon. So
Awesome.
yeah, and that's it for me for this week.
Joe, if you had to guess how many encyclopedias or dictionaries I have in my house, what would that number be?
Oh geez, 30 or 40 would have to be. You know, I'm
I think Dooch
No.
has nailed it
Yeah.
here.
yeah,
It's a big fat zero.
that I would agree. Yeah, goose egg. I mean, if you take into account our age, we might have some just from pre-internet times.
Mm,
You know,
gotcha. I did want to pull up a super chat. Apparently, $1.99. Defenders of Eden is the official dinosaur line of the Purple Gang.
Love it.
There you go.
You can just PayPal all super chats to mjdooch0915 at comcast.net. Friends and family only, please. Thank you.
I've got some cool stuff actually in store for the Purple Gang. Funny enough, that nothing can be revealed quite yet, but I have some fun stuff for those guys too as well. So, but
Awesome.
Curtis, hey, the reason why there are 0 encyclopedias or dictionaries in your house,
Mhm.
can I guess on the reason for that? because it's probably the same as why there's not in mine. Because then, like, there's no, like, what would it be? There's no way to correct yourself. Like, no one can correct me on my use of words or my ideas or how I use words.
No, mine is because I hate reading even regular books. I'm definitely not going to read a reference book like a encyclopedia or a dictionary. So there.
So is the most that you have, you at least have like character books and stuff like that. Like
I do have some man stuff, but I hardly ever look at them. So I got like all the Dark Horse books, and I think probably half of them at least I've never even opened. So, but they fill up a shelf. So, with that, Jesse, what do you got?
Hi.
Hi, Jesse.
I was given a new goat last weekend at the Lehigh Valley show.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
That is a cool goat.
I like it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Reminds me
I
of
also went
something.
to get food, not for my dog, but I was at Walmart, so of course I went to the toy aisle.
You don't feed your
and
dog.
I never have anything. What? No, I don't have a dog.
No.
Oh,
well, then
gotcha.
you don't need to feed it. No.
I meant
Yeah, that would
just
be
like
weird.
Joe said he went to the store to get food for his dog.
Yeah,
It sounded like you just don't feed your dog. Like, I'm not buying that damn dog food.
Are you not a dog guy, Jesse?
No, I think dogs are awesome. I live in an apartment. I'm not home enough, and I'm not allowed to have a dog in the apartment.
You like dags?
I like dags.
All right. So what'd you get?
I should pair with a little caravan. So I went
Pretty
to the
fun
toy
to
aisle,
pair with
and they
blue.
never have anything good in there. It's always like, the same stuff that's been there for the past like 3 years.
Mhm.
But I walked down the aisle and I was like, where's the He-Man stuff? And I turned around, they had moved it, and I was like, oh, that's new. They have the new some of the new Filmation style
nice.
Origins figures.
Yep. The cartoon collection.
Nice.
Oh, that actually
Yeah,
looks nice.
so I got the teal. It's like I didn't open the original Origins one, but like just the feel of the plastic, the paint apps on it. I mean, it's pretty basic, but it looks like, it looks like something from the cartoon. And the only thing I don't like about it is
the
price.
original cartoon before she turned into a jerk in MYP.
I don't know anything about that. And then I also found my boy Raph for the Masters Turtles of Grayskull.
Oh,
Yep.
that's kind of cool.
Nice.
And
He needs a
only
wig.
no, he doesn't. The hat comes off, the bandana, the tails like move around, they come apart, so I guess you can mix and match them and stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like is like the Psy weapon that goes on his right hand. Like
You mean the Aquaman trident?
Sure. Like it just looks really goofy, like from it's so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a blonde wig, but yeah, it's kind of goofy.
Yeah, it's not as bad as the blonde wig, but no, Raph was the only one I wanted, and he was the last one there.
Fan says he's pretty cool for not being Donatello.
Okay. Well, guess
Now
what? Red and blue makes purple, so without Raph and Leo, there is no Donatello.
I don't think that's how Donatello was made.
Not biologically,
Wait.
just color-wise.
Donatello has two fathers?
They're also his brothers.
Very
No, I
progressive
just-
show.
Very progressive.
Yeah.
I think-
now, does Raphael's shell pop off as a shield like the other?
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
two.
Pop the shell pops off. There's a spot in the back for the sword side in the other hand. The
What
helmet
does the
comes
back
off.
look like? What does the back look like without the shield or without the shell?
I
I'm
was
just
gonna
curious.
ask that too.
You're
I
right.
haven't seen that yet. Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
But yeah, so it's cool to walk in and find those. Not expecting to see either one of those, but those were the only two from those lines that I wanted. So it's nice to be able to complete a collection in one go.
First 58 would like to know if you could estimate how many Raphaels you have in your Raphael collection.
I mean, I can count while someone else is doing their pickups because that's
No,
all
he
I
asked
got.
for an estimate. He did not ask
I
for an
can't
exact
estimate.
count.
I don't estimate. If it's
Well-
estimation, it's 5,000.
Hey, you go ahead and count, and I will go next. All right.
Okay.
All right. So I did open up one of my mystery box figures that I was looking for, and this is Sir Godfrey. I was debating with Joe before the show started about switching out his plume because his plume is this like burnt orangish one, and I changed it out for the brighter red one. If that means that this
just for
really
the
isn't
record,
Sir
I was
Godfrey
no help.
anymore, yeah. If that means this isn't Sir Godfrey anymore, that's fine. But I like it better. So, but yeah, I do like this character. I like the mace, like the different pauldrons. The paint apps are great. I am very happy to have one of those in my collection. I also got the last regular goblin that I needed for my collection, which is Nubnik. He was the one that had been eluding me. So the only goblin I'm missing right now, like that has goblin in the name, I guess, is the bog goblin, but I've got all the regular green ones now. So he's a little cool guy. I like him. I decided to go with the non-helmeted head. I think it adds a little variety to the group.
Do you have all the swigs though?
I don't have 1,000 swigs, but I do have one.
So you're getting there one by one.
There you go. And then I had not opened up my Zende yet. I traded away my first one in my all-in. And then when I got my extras, I just was busy with other stuff and I never got around to it. So I finally opened up my Zende. And this guy is really cool. I like him a lot. His staff might be the coolest weapon I've seen in Mythic Legions. It is super neat. And then with the magic effects, I was working with Dorklair. He showed me this way to kind of put one around the wrist and then one around the fingers to make it kind of look like a double magic effect, kind of maybe a Doctor Strange kind of vibe. And then he also talked to me about the soft good kind of billowing the cape at the bottom. And I think that looks really good. So really awesome figure. Also the other head that comes with this is really neat, and I just threw it on a Templar. So love that extra head. Adds a little bit more diversity to my collection, so that's appreciated. And then I got one of the coolest things that I've gotten all year. Really is going to be one of the prize pieces in my collection. And this is a piece from Jordan Frazier, aka Wholesome Warlock. It's this rabbit cosmic custom lady, and I don't know what it is about this, but this thing just hit me, man. I love it. She just had some super sass. Love the look of it. Somebody I think it was Jesse maybe last week when we were showing this on the shelf selection said something about giving him a domino vibe. And I totally get that. Like, she's just super cool. She's actually going to go right next to my Curtis custom that Joe Gonzalez made for me. So they're going to be partners in crime or outlawish or whatever they're doing in space.
Bonnie and Clyde vibes.
There you go. So
You say Bunny and Clyde?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I absolutely love this thing. It is one of my favorite pieces of my collection. So really grateful to have that.
You guys mess with my head. You guys mess with my head so much. Just like that,
Why?
I'm always in that
I try to.
because you guys are in creative headspace too. So I'm like, literally, you say Bunny and Clyde, and I already have the cover of the comic book in my head, like looking at that Bunny figure. So
he also did this little goblin drawing for me that came with the package, which he says he drew in 3 minutes. So there you go. But another cool little thing. So appreciate those guys. Van also sent some great stuff. My Darla had been looking for the little hatchlings for the plunderlings. She had the white plunderling and wanted the hatchling set for it. Van had sent that, and she was over the moon excited. So Purple Gang, those guys are awesome. Love them. If you haven't checked them out on Saturday nights, their show is always something to watch. It is It is unique. There is always something that will surprise you and make you laugh. And those guys are just great dudes. So appreciate those. And yeah, those were my pickups for the week. And Jesse, do you have a finished count for us?
I'm gonna put it at 60. I'm calling it 60, Curtis.
Wow, your estimate was way off.
Wow.
I told you it would be.
Dude got Darla with that one.
I mean, that's counting my duck turtle.
Hey,
my turtle.
there goes the first one you got. You've got your Kevin Costner Prince of Thieves reference. When he's trying to count the soldiers, but he doesn't know how to count.
Yeah. All right, Dooch, you're up. What do you got? Nothing, huh?
Nada.
That's sad.
I got a cup of water.
Okay. Well, Matt, I'm sure. Well, you can't really show us what you got, but
we're gonna do mine in like 7 minutes.
Okay. Well, besides your dinosaurs,
well, you
did
roll.
you pick
We've
up
got a
anything else
program
this
to
week?
run.
My kid almost picked up a $7 trap jaw mouser crossover figure when he was in California this past week. So I know they're going to become $7 over here, because usually whatever the prices are in California, it comes here in like 3 weeks. So
awesome.
But that is one of the few that like I was like, okay, I dig this a little bit enough to I'm probably going to get. But I told my wife when she was out there, like, I'm just not quite ready to open up that door yet, because I have suppressed the what is the technical term? Is it completionist or completist?
Completist.
Sure.
Completist. I've been doing better at suppressing the completist side of how I used to be decades ago, when now I have like 15 Princess of Power She-Ra classics figures, and I don't even really need 14 of them, you know?
Right.
But so yeah, that was my recent almost pickup. And then I picked up this lacrosse ball that I found at the soccer field. You ever have nerves in your lower butt area that are pinched? Sitting on a lacrosse ball and rolling that nerve out, although painful, is very, very nice. So that's my recommendation.
All right. Okay. Duly noted. We forgot to put up the banner for payload when we did our pickups, but that's all right.
We have banners.
We'll throw that up before we look at Armies of Ahsmore. We don't have any transmissions this week, but we do have an Event Horizon. Let me pull that one up for Jesse.
I'm going to real quick while you're pulling that up.
Sure.
Technically, a completionist and a completist are the same thing. However, it would be contradictory for someone to call themselves a completist, because it is a less complete version of the word.
Interesting. Okay.
So that
if Curtis had a dictionary, he would have been able to look that up.
Yeah.
I don't have a dictionary. I have the internet.
I know
I
enough
am the
monosyllabic
less
words to
complete
get by.
version of a collector.
Okay. Jesse, what do we got here?
Well, I don't know. This was yours.
But it's your segment.
I mean, it's my segment, but I mean, there's not really a lot to talk about other than it's really cool to see Superman in the suit. Although,
is it though?
I am excited for this movie. I think this guy, I think he looks good. I'm a little confused why he's kind of casually putting his boot on while there's some sort of destructo beam out in the city. But other than that,
maybe he doesn't realize
I think it looks cool.
All right. So I will jump in then.
Okay.
This is a still that came out from the new Superman movie from James Gunn. He posted it on his Instagram. Some people had asked about, if there's, any sort of AI or CGI or whatever is going on in this. He said that this is a actual shot. And he said it was practical effects. So I don't know. I know one of the things that people were upset with is if you, which I can't zoom in, but if you zoom in on the Superman suit, it looks like there's some creases around like his shoulders, and he doesn't fill out the suit the way that some people would want him to fill out the suit. And so some people were upset about that. Obviously this is a very early on image. They have not touched up things. They have not, made it look the way that it's going to look in the final version. So I don't know. Thoughts, like, should they have shared this if this isn't a ready piece? Are people being upset too quickly? Do they have a right to be upset?
Yes.
What are your guys' thoughts on this?
Okay.
People are always upset.
Since I'm talking,
Go ahead.
I'll say this. People have a right to be upset because you're entitled to your feelings and your opinions on things. So yes, people are allowed to be upset. I think it's fine that they shared it. It's their production. I'd rather see something like this from them than behind the scene shots where someone's, got a shot of him like walking from his trailer or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I would rather see this. I don't give two rats left nuts if you can see wrinkles in his suit. It's fabric. It's not plastic. Like if it doesn't have wrinkles, like it's unrealistic. And then it's a CGI suit, or more chances that it's a CGI suit. So I think it's cool. I mean, looks like it's got some battle damage on it, or some weathering on the right shoulder there. I like the overall look of it. I know for a lot of people, seeing the trunks on him again is a huge deal, which means some people got really close on that crotch to make sure that got pointed out. But like I said, no, I'm excited. I've liked most of the things James Gunn has done. I'm excited to see what he does with this movie. I think this is a nice little taste, a little tease. But I'm not going to get really excited until I start seeing like an official teaser or like a moving trailer or something like that. I think people that are overanalyzing all the details, AI, is there CG, blah blah blah, I think they need to calm down. The movie's not out yet.
Anybody else?
Yeah,
I can speak, but I'll wait till you guys. I want to be respectful to the hosts of the show.
Well, you're our guest. If
we're not?
If you got something to say, go ahead.
What's the show rated? Is it like an R? Like, is it an R? Do you guys cuss?
Oh, it's an R.
Okay,
yeah.
I just want to make sure because I
X.
know I've been on shows.
Nuts.
Yeah, two right nuts, I believe.
Two left.
Left, actually.
Left. Well, there's a different squirrel with two right nuts that they should probably hang out.
I said
all
rat too.
All I'm saying is that this is why we can't have nice things. Like, and maybe I'm getting soft at my old age, and I will definitely criticize. I mean, you guys know I like to be a dork like that. But when it comes down to like, if the guy that's complaining about wrinkles in his suit, that motherfucker better be his favorite suit of all of DC movies better be freaking Ryan Reynolds than in Green Lantern. If that's his real issue or her real issue, it's just tiresome. Like, I'm just over it. Like, I like actual good discussions of critiquing things and movies and images and stuff like that. I enjoy that stuff, but like, there's not a soul in this world that puts on boots that doesn't wrinkle their shirts in the shoulders. Like, it's just annoying to me, but it looks cool. I've never been a Superman guy, but I respect the property. I think that with the backlash of Man of Steel and them choosing to make him kind of a Wolverine personality instead of just a Clark Superman personality, I think that James Gunn, for what he has been involved in, he definitely seems to be able to find the pulse on the source material more than we've seen other people involved. So I'm happy for DC Superman fans in that sense that, like, I do think that he will, stay true to the character in my opinion. At least I hope he does.
Well, we've got a comment that says that Iron Man says that you're wrong about boots with wrinkles. He gets his boots on and no wrinkles in his costume. So there you
That's
go.
fair. That's fair. That's fair criticism.
That's because he irons his uniforms.
There you go. Ah, I see what you did.
Tony Starch.
Oh shit!
Wow, I can't believe I got you with that one.
Okay. All right.
Moving right along.
Joe or Dude, you got anything on this one?
Yeah, I can't believe that people are upset about wrinkles in his shoulders when he's putting on galoshes. Not that bothers me, but they're straight up like I had a pair just like that when I was like 4. So
yeah. Okay.
The visuals are going to be fine. I don't know what people are worried about. Like, if it's one thing that you can say about modern superhero movies, my opinion anyways, is that visuals haven't been an issue. I'm more excited to see that sphere in the background gets my hopes up that maybe Brainiac is the villain, which I would love to see a movie adaptation of Brainiac as a villain for Superman. I think that they play off of each other very well. I'm hoping it's attacking the city. I'm hoping that Superman is actually able to save it this time. That would be nice, in my opinion. So,
with the villain gallery, Joe, of Superman, are in your head, like what you just said, like, are you? I don't know how big of a fan are you, but like, are you over Lex Luthor? Like, I feel like there's just other villains you can play with.
Yeah, I don't feel like there needs to be another reboot of Lex Luthor, and it's just my opinion. But the original movies was fantastic. I know a lot of people didn't like him in Batman versus Superman, but I thought the character was written extremely well. I liked the angle that they took on him of why he hated Superman, because he was so much better.
Folks, we're going to be looking for a new co-host here on OfWorld. Joe has expressed some highly controversial opinions.
I've said it.
Yeah, just don't.
Yes, and I've said it before. I'm a sidekick, not a co-host. But, so boot me.
Sidekicks are allowed to be crazy, is what you're saying, Jesse?
Huh?
Sidekicks are allowed to be a little bit crazy in the head with their thoughts. Is that okay?
No, Joe's not a sidekick. He's a co-host.
Okay.
Equal footing.
Yeah. But I just don't need to see another version of him. I don't think that they need to bring in another actor and reboot that character. And that's just my opinion. If they do, it won't bother me. But I'd love to see something new, something fresh. Brainiac, since I was a little kid, has always been one of my favorite Superman villains. And I'd love to see a James Gunn take on him where he's done in a comic style where he's imposing and sinister in that Brainiac calculated way. So it's something that I'd really like to see.
Okay. Dooch?
It's a picture. I'm not
Dooch do not necessarily represent the thoughts of the
really impressed, but I don't know. It looks like a very frumpy suit. I get what you guys are saying about like it should have creases and stuff, but I don't see why he has like big shoulder pads going on. Like I don't think those are wrinkles. I think it's like his costume isn't the skin tight type of suit that you expect from Superman.
So you're saying that it looks like when he's standing upright, they might have padded the suit a little bit to like give him some more form, and
I think you'll have like some sort of like design element on his shoulders is what it looks like to me.
Okay.
I don't know.
I comment on that.
Okay, go ahead.
It's to make the toys look more realistic.
It's possible. It would definitely help hide the joint there.
It looks like a joint articulation on the figure, on the actual suit, so it won't be as distracting on the toy.
Yeah,
That's the interesting take. That's actually, yeah.
it's
That
possible.
was a really bad joke.
But it would honestly the way it looks. I actually have hope for this movie. This is an odd first image to share, I think, but it's definitely getting people talking, so it's working.
What do you think the reasons are? Any of you guys have an answer for this? What do you think the reasons are for this image? Because obviously James Gunn knows what he's doing. He's done enough of these crazy, outlandish, colorful movies. Like,
I think he's trying to show that this Superman's going to be the everyman that we need. He's going to be Clark Kent at heart. You know, here he is getting ready to go out and fight evil. He's trying to show that we're done with that Man of Steel bullshit. You know, and I honestly don't even think that this image will be in the movie necessarily. I think this is just a promotional image. Okay, Curtis, go ahead.
Can I share my thoughts now? Because I've been dying.
Didn't you start? But
no, I just said what people were upset about. I didn't give any of my thoughts on this. I don't give a fuck what the suit looks like. I don't care. All right. The reason that the past Superman movies have not been great is not because of what the suit looked or didn't look like. It's about the heart of the character. It's about who Superman is. It's about a matter of building up the Clark Kent. I think that this image to me tells a story that he's going to work like every one of us. He's going to work. He's putting on his boots just like we do. And whether this is happening as, you know, some big thing is shooting over the city and you're like, why is he taking his time? We don't know. This might be happening in fucking super speed. And this is just one frame of him, you know, getting his costume on in super speed. Who knows?
Lois, I got to update my Instagram. Go get a camera.
What I do know is that this image to me portrays what I think this character is going to be. And I think kind of what Matt was saying earlier, James Gunn has a way to make you care about characters that you don't care about. You know, when Guardians of the Galaxy came around, almost nobody knew who those guys were or knew about those characters, had much or any connection to them. And by the end, we're crying over raccoons and shit like that. Okay. He took a guy in Peacemaker who's a total D-bag and in the Suicide Squad movie, and then make this series where you actually get to like him and care about him and understand why he is the way he is. So James Gunn has a way to build out these characters. I think that this image shows me what the heart of that movie is going to be, and that's what I care about. I don't care about creases in the shoulder. I don't care if the boots look like galoshes. I don't care about the S logo looking more like the Kingdom Come Superman. I don't care. I don't care about any of that. I care about what the image is trying to tell us that this movie is going to be about, and I'm excited. I am over the fucking moon over this picture. So there you go.
Are you just straight up?
And I'm excited that you're excited.
Like freebasing GIF right there?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't need to defend yourself. I was just asking.
No, I won't. So if you make yourself chocolate milk with quick powder, Nesquik powder, and make yourself chocolate milk, 2% milk, and have peanut butter. Basically, it's kind of like an endless Reese's peanut butter cup as you eat and drink. And so,
all right. As far as the villain goes, I do think that Brainiac would be cool. It's one that we really haven't seen through the different versions of Superman in the live action. As far as Lex Luthor goes, I wouldn't be opposed to having a new Lex Luthor. I think it needs to be a while before he's the main villain of a movie. If you want to throw him out there as a side character, start building up who he is, I think that would be great. If you're going to make him a villain, I think it should be the, power suit kryptonite version of Lex Luthor 2 or 3 movies down the road. It definitely doesn't need to be in the first one. So
I'll agree with that. I hope he's in the movie, but I don't want him to be the main. I don't want him to be a villain, let alone the central villain.
All right. Any other thoughts on this?
What's that guy from? Like
Looking forward to
anything
the
else
movie.
that we might know him from movie wise or show wise? This
I
actor?
I don't know him from anything else.
Okay, I just didn't know if he was from some popular show or something.
I'm sure Jesse's looking it up right now.
Yep. David Cornsweat. Cornsweat. Corns?
You know, I looked at that picture and I thought he looks like he smells like corn sweat.
Okay.
I mean, he is. I mean, Kansas.
He is Kansas?
I mean, Smallville. I think the character, like, it would make sense that Superman smells like corn.
Hmm.
Okay. Was he
was
anything that we
Pearl.
would know?
House of Cards, Affair of State,
All right.
Pearl.
I watched House of Cards, but I don't remember him from it. So
He was in 7 episodes. No, wait, that's the wrong show. He was in 1 episode.
all right. Well, I kind of like that it's an actor that I don't know so well because for me that is going to allow me to dive more into this character in this movie and not, have that broken up by, oh yeah, I recognize that guy from this, that, or the other. So I think
Agreed.
that's cool. Jesse, did you have anything else for Event Horizon this week?
I don't know. I know 2 of the big ones that I was looking for this year are already out, and Kingdom of Planet of the Apes is out this weekend, so hopefully I'll be checking that out tomorrow, or probably tomorrow. But yeah, I haven't seen any real new trailers or anything new upcoming to get excited about yet that we haven't talked to about already.
All right.
Are you guys all pro Planet of the Apes in this podcast?
I love it. I think Jesse's a big fan. I'm not sure about Dooch and Joe.
I could care less.
This is
I
not a
haven't watched any
podcast.
of them.
Jesse is a
I
big
think
stickler
podcast
for
is in the title.
definition of podcast. Yeah, this is a YouTube show, which is not apparently a podcast. So just FYI.
But it says podcast in the title.
But that doesn't make it a podcast, apparently. So
It's all right. Sean and I named our comic book company Counter Monkey Comics, and it was an ape. So
okay.
What's the difference between
How
YouTube
dare
show and
you.
podcast?
podcasts are podcasts.
Okay.
Like you listen to them, you don't watch them.
I mean, Joe Rogan has a podcast, but you can also see it. So
Bring him up here. What does that have to do with anything?
I'm just saying,
Doesn't he-
people do podcasts that you also can view. So
Yeah, but
Legends
you
of
can't-
Grayskull, you can listen as a podcast, but you
Having
can
a
also watch it on
podcast you can
YouTube.
watch is still a thing, but having a show that's not a podcast isn't a podcast.
Wait, really quick. So you don't think that this is what you guys do? This is a podcast? You really don't think that?
Jesse doesn't.
We don't cast it to any pods.
Interesting.
To
I feel like it's. I feel like it's a very, very podcast format. You got. I mean, it's like a standard podcast. I guess I don't know enough about encyclopedias or dictionaries to tell you the true definition.
I think that the term podcast has been stretched over the past few years to incorporate many things that are not just audio only versions, but
So, according to Merriam-Webster, a podcast is a program made available in digital format for download over the internet.
okay.
No one's downloading this.
They could, if they got YouTube Premium, they can download it so they can watch it where it's not
Okay.
available.
I mean, just like graphic novel versus collected edition, there's a distinct thing, you know, but that's a
Right.
whole nother tangent.
Interesting.
Okay.
What's
right.
that meaning?
With that being said, let's go back to Payload And Matt, would you like to show us some dinosaurs?
Whip it out, baby.
Are we're at that part of the show?
Yeah.
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 Okay. So, I guess I'm gonna kind of share. I mean, we're gonna show some stuff for sure. So this process has been freaking crazy, and you guys know that. But so now I have the official like production toys, and they said take these and look at them and play with them and see what we need to change. And so that's what I'm in the middle of right now. So it's a lot of fun. It's a little overwhelming, but for instance, I'm just going to grab a couple things here real quick. We have what seems to be kind of a fan favorite as of late is this bad boy right here.
That's always been the best.
Especially when you get the bare-chested one, man. That brings all the ladies out.
He looks great. So like for instance, this is just one situation that we're working on was because of the weight of this shoulder. And this is Kuzo. That's him without helmet or with helmet, without mask. Mask is made of a nice plastic that you can kind of pop on into those little edges there, and you can have him. So a couple different looks, but yeah. Anyways, he really cool figure, but the weight of this shield on the back here, and because of design, it actually, I mean, it doesn't fully stick in both pegs at the same time, but it kind of would go like this up on the neck, and it would look kind of goofy because this is pretty soft, pliable plastic. And so we designed these straps. We designed these straps, and they plug in the back here, but they still don't do their job, so they're worthless right now. So this is literally the only part of it that
because there's too much slack, or because it's not
too much. Yes, exactly. That I sent them pictures, and even when it's plugged in and down, I pull it down to be in the proper position where it's exactly where it should be. This is, there's all that gap right.
You're not even close. Yeah.
So that's kind of the main issue with that. So outside of this piece, everything's already in for like production. Like they're starting like greenlit everything for the figure. It's just this is the one piece that is kind of a hiccup right now. He turned out
when you say that, you mean so like right now over in China, they're making these figures and they're being produced and coming off the line.
Right. Yep. The only things that we had issues with paint wise were, and I'll show you in a second here, were the head packs. We wanted to make sure that the accents were exactly matching what these other characters were, so that when you do swap the heads out, that they fit 100%, and the deco is where it should be. And then going through stuff like, the pegs and making sure that stuff is held tight. The shield is one situation that, because of the space of the shield, we wanted to make sure that these plugs worked well. And so they got them there, and they're like, no, test it. And so, that's what we're trying to figure out here is that
magnetized at all, or is it just like a
It's honestly not. It's just 3 pegs on each side that are kind of triangle shaped.
It seems pretty solid.
Yeah, for what I mean, I just had to shake it out, but like just literally, doing that. I'm sitting here all day long doing this stuff to make sure, because the last thing I want is, again, I'm new at this, but product that like we say, oh, this is a cool idea, it plugs back together, and then like people not be able to do that. So you
need to find somebody with like really thick man hands that can just like really, manhandle this stuff and make sure that they can't break it.
That would be nice, to know people like that, to have friends like that. Let me see here. But so then we got the old
one of those that already broke stuff though.
I know a guy. So then, working out the situation with just the different looks, the different styles, what we can do. what we can pop off. These are super soft as well, which is kind of nice. The shoulder pads. I don't know if this will come over the head. Let's just take. You wanted to see it. You wanted to see the goods.
Man, yeah, that brings all the ladies out right there.
But yeah, it's so cool. And again, this is the one joint that we were super impressed with. Was we basically came up with the design interior wise here, Corn Boy specifically, where we still have this bicep cut. And that's one joint that I guess are they half giants did not have for Mythic Legions. Correct. So so that was cool. And then again, having them all have individual necks so that we can really get different great movement and looks. Trying to find where the camera is.
Seems like the joints are really stiff in a good way.
Yeah. I've only had to heat up two joints, and because of the bottoms of these feet, I'm not joking. I've had, and Steve posed one of the mock-up, one of the gray ones, but we posed them and balanced them on one foot.
Oh wow!
And he stood the entire night, like the next morning, like he never fell. And specifically because of the width of the base of the foot. So again, messing around with the cool options, the different stuff. I've got
good arches on that foot.
This is still one of my favorites. Once we realized we could do it, it was just kind of a crazy thing.
That's funny.
But now I get back to your mind. But yeah, it's just a lot of. It's been again surreal, and it's cool having you guys on the journey with me, kind of figuring this stuff out and able to bounce ideas and thoughts off of. I always appreciate it. So this is officially Ciros, and he's all good to go again outside of this armor. But it's cool watching them kind of take on their own. Kuzo, sorry. Did I say the wrong name?
Yeah, you said Ciros.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, my bad. But like watching them just take on a life of their own where I have these blank ones and they're just lifeless. And so the blanks, once they get shipped, and watching all of the people that bought blank, like I said, and I'll say it till the day I die, is that watching what people do with these toys will be peak happiness for me, because it just goes right to the root of getting creative. And that's why I love this community and this family that you guys have, and all the little pockets of families that are within the legions and the horsemen, and my wife is going to kill me, and all of our boyfriends, is that we all kind of had that fun kind of childlike wonder itch. And so we sold so many blanks. So these bad boys, I mean, just freaking, this guy is just so great.
I heard McFarlane's going to Jokerize a bunch of them. So I don't know if that's true.
I don't know. I'll sell whatever anybody wants. I'll sell.
My one kind of concern,
okay,
it's a space thing. Like obviously these are big boys, and we all have kind of some space constraint issues at some point. From the back of the tail to the front of the figure, how much space are we talking? Do you know what the distance is, and is there any way to shorten that? Like, does that tail it move to the side?
We have ball joint here and ball joint at base.
Oh, that makes it, yeah.
So if you want to move the tail down, and if you want to tuck the tail to where it's almost, you see how it's almost pointing back in.
Yeah.
You can take it down from that far. There's definitely good movement as far as even twisting it to the side there, so you can have it off to the side.
I didn't realize you had that much articulation, so yeah, that should help quite a bit.
Yeah, it'll definitely help a couple inches for sure. And if we can a couple inches is good.
Sometimes that's what you mean.
Sometimes that is all you need. Let me grab some more, and
Is
I've
it
just been,
like,
I've been,
does it, one other question as far as that goes?
yep.
Does it look completely ridiculous if you don't have the tail on? Like if you take the tail off, is it
Nope.
something that you?
Let's see. I don't think it looks ridiculous at all. But I mean, as far as, so this is what's going to be cool, is that he's got a little
Little
two-incher.
turtle head there.
Yeah.
But
prolapse
if,
anus.
if we take this out, this little piece, and we redesign a new one of these loincloths, like, the buck's going to be completely different. But yeah, I mean, as far as, let's see here.
Yeah. Because that's
I mean,
that's a barbell thing. So that part could come out.
Yeah. So I mean, displaying him even on an
Yeah.
angle without the tail,
Yeah, that looks cool. I like that a lot.
I mean, it's gonna definitely get the job done.
Especially like you're saying with the blanks, like if people are doing customs, they may not want a creature with a tail. They may want to, do that as kind of a humanoid figure.
Yeah,
So-
for sure. Okay, so we got Kuzo. Let's move on. I think Jesse is up next. So
Yeah, you better bring that Stegosaurus out next.
So now I will fully admit something. When we first made this line, this guy was like the one I wasn't as excited about.
Mhm.
But just the detail in the face alone, and like now writing a comic book with this character in it and giving him a personality, it's been so cool. He's got a little plug on the top, so that just plugs right back in. These plates, they come unassembled. Just because of spacing purposes, we would have had to add a full inch on the depth of this box alone if we would glue those in before. What's up, Matt? I appreciate it, brother. Matt's got some crazy cool custom stuff too. He's been working on paint wise. That's been fun.
Yeah, he does.
But so, anyways,
Absolutely.
these they come unassembled, and the way they were designed. Let me see if I can get this to like actually zoom in. But they were designed to have like basically like different Tetris-y looking shapes, so that you know exactly which one goes in which spot, and then they clip right in. So
Okay.
I've had people say, "Oh, I'm just going to glue these 6 pieces in, and then be done with it." This one on the neck does not come out, but the 6 do, and then the way this sits on the back also plugs right in between these 2 plates. So that's where that little holder is, and he's great. Again, just trying to maximize the toy side of it, where I'm brand new at this, but I know I've liked toys my whole life. So I'm like, well, if we're going to make everything poppable and swappable and people are buying weapons packs, we might as well just go all out and make it so that if people want to make their own style weapons and paint schemes and stuff,
That's cool.
that they would be able to do that. So
It's like weapon Legos.
Yep.
kind of, yeah, exactly. And so that's been a lot of fun working on that. Let's see here.
I was going to ask you about those fins because when I was watching your little live stream you did, which I actually am sad I missed it live. I caught it on a replay, but it seemed like you were kind of struggling a little bit getting those in. Was that just because you didn't have the right fins matched up to the right spots they're supposed to go in?
It was mostly because of my my state of mind.
Gotcha.
Like I was just like,
Excitement. Gotcha.
yeah, I was just
Adrenaline wasn't letting you do
exactly
it.
exactly. I was just still super overwhelmed, and just trying to wrap my head around again this whole thing, like actually having product in my hands. So again, this back piece, you got ball joint here at the mid tail, and so I'm curious. It's gonna be curious to see who pops off these, because all of the barbells at the different positions are going to be the same size. So if somebody wants a mid stag tail with the longer Bronto end, you would technically be able to do that stuff if you wanted to. We didn't build that into the build, but it's definitely doable. So, but yeah.
So can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
So obviously, you've done some comics, so seeing your stuff come to life in that way, and you've had like the prototypes and like the fine cuts and stuff, but getting these basically completed figures in hand, like when you opened that box and looked at them for the first time, you clearly just said your adrenaline was high, or that you were so excited about like what.
Well, it's still so surreal because it's like I still want to touch them like I touched those first fine cuts and like the first like samples where I'm like afraid something's gonna snap, but outside of me just having to heat up a couple elbows just because they seemed a bit tight, and I'll show you a head that I put on another guy over here in a second. I got the heater here just because I figured you guys might want to see a couple different things too as well. Is that it's like, no, this is real, this is finished, so play with it and move it, and we'll see if there are any adjustments that need to be made. And so that part of it's still like it's freaking mind-blowing, dude. It's so much fun, and I feel like a kid again because I've been back in the kind of behind the scenes side of it where it's just like all numbers. I'm like talking to the factory, talking to Big Bad Toy Store about their order, like doing all of this stuff. And I like open the box and I'm able to just be like, and even tonight, to able to just enjoy it for what it's meant to be, is just to be enjoyed and not like be super, particular about it. But it's this guy, again, I'm very, very satisfied. You're going to see another version of him in a little bit, but and then also I'm just going to put a little note in the boxes about, heating up just to make sure you're better safe than sorry, heat up the necks before you pop them off, stuff like that, like, yes, we want the necks are interchangeable and the hands pop out very well and easy. So they come with 3 sets of hands. We've got 1 set that hold weapons officially that we have the aloft motion as far as that peg goes, so you can rotate
the
it.
Different angle. Okay.
Yeah, the different angle, so you can do that with these hands. And then there's the fist, and then there's kind of the
oh, nice. I didn't know they had like a casting type hand. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. You will see that one in a little bit too as well. So yeah. Here's he's freaking.
Do you have one there in front of you that's like in a super dynamic pose? Because I know, up until now you've had like the prototypes and stuff, and you can't really do a whole lot with them. Do you have something that you've already got posed up that you could show us?
No, I mean not really, because I'm not a super poser. I'm not. I'm not a super poser like some people, but I mean the width of everything and how big and massive. Maybe I can let me grab this one real quick.
They're chunky boys. I like them.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just show even him and this guy. I can make him look taller by pushing the neck up a little bit, but I like having him look a little bit more hunched over. So I got my table over here, but I want to show you guys how. Hey, buddy. But
awesome.
yeah, even the width of that's the one thing that I don't think people realize is that the width of the end of shoulder to shoulder with their hands down, it is wider than the ogre. Yeah, the ogre. It's just a touch shorter because some of them, the angles of the first neck piece, makes them. We kind of make it to look like that. Bust a pose. Yeah, I'm not the best at it, but so.
Is that an ab crunch there in the middle? Or
yeah, there's
articulation in the abs?
Yep, there's the ab crunch in the middle there. So that there goes one of his plates, but so that and then also a note that I just made, and I checked the records, was we initially always had a Paintmaster version in his color scheme of those shoulder pads. And when they mailed this to me, and they mailed them all in the boxes, and I'll show you a box in a little bit, but he didn't come with them. And I was just like, that was part of the key. Like, that was part of the artwork. It was part of the plans. Like, I get that they don't fit with this on, but when you put on shoulder pads and take this off, he looks freaking awesome. And so, well, here, I'll show you an example, and I'm just jumping ahead.
The regular, like the scaled pads. Yeah.
Yeah. So these pads, yeah, but in his color scheme. And so I said to the factory, I just said, you have to include the pad, like you can put them behind the character or under his feet or whatever in the packaging, but people want to have different looks and want to explore different looks for them. So, so that's one of the notes that I had to give them, was that we definitely want those pads in there. So there's
we do have a request to see Milwick. Do you have him available?
Milwick. All right, let's get these superposed. So we want just regular Milwick, huh?
Well, or the translucent, whatever you want to show.
Okay, so I just think there's I always put I'm a very I like the asymmetrical look or whatever. So I'm like, I like one shoulder pad, this bad boy. But yeah, so Milwick here, he's just freaking so cool. And
the staff in one hand and then that casting type hand in the other. That's awesome.
Yeah, did you see when I put the little fist piece on his fist?
I didn't see that.
So let me see. You know what? I'm just going to do it. I might as well. We're going to switch out our holder of the phone, and we're going to take the holder of the phone.
So he was holding the phone the whole time, huh?
Yeah. So we have our translucent Kickstarter exclusive, and so we had talked about this before. That again, in the toy world, I'm like, well, how can we make this cool blast extra cool? And I thought, well, what if we put a fist on it, and so it can look like he's doing a magic punch, and then that obviously made it so that this piece, when put in his hand, it looks like, you know, he's kind of has a punching magic effect type of thing, and it fits perfectly on all of their fists. So when I don't have his hand, well, you know what? I'm gonna swap it out because they're meant to be swapped out. So why don't I just do this real quick? I didn't think of it until now, but so we'll take off his hand. We'll put in the fist for the spectral.
Now, does the spectral also have like the casting type hand?
Yes, they have. Yep, it has all three sets of the.
I think even just putting one of those on it would look super cool. You know?
Yep. So he's got that can look like he's a magical punch type of thing. So and different. Sorry.
Nothing.
Here, let me see if I can do this part 2.
That looks awesome.
We'll take this and this plastic, so it's really cool, and we'll put this on the top of there, and then we can have these bad boys on here.
Pit bits with the standard figure look really cool. Like
absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, you can even go as far as
mage armor.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I like that a lot.
And so you can, I mean, we can put just the shoulder pads and the armor onto this guy. So
well, I think vice versa too. I think the translucent figure with the regular armor would look cool.
Yeah. Yep. And so that's a lot of fun. And so figuring that stuff out has been kind of a blast. Let me put him back together real quick and kind of share a little bit about him. But so Milwick is, he's just cool. Unfortunately, you guys have probably seen the only downside of the whole thing is that we accidentally created a new character when we had to fit him in the box. Was that because of his neck?
They put the head directly on the peg.
The factory added. The factory added.
What the audience is paying for.
That's exactly what they're paying for, is to see you gripping that neck.
Yeah, stick your tongue out at the same time. Perfect.
So they added this neck, which is a ball joint onto a small barbell. This is originally what we had. So they actually added one extra ball joint in the neck. So movement wise, it really kind of added that extra dimension of, being able to pose and have him looking straight forward, and extending his neck and then being straight up tall. And so it's been, that piece of it has been cool on my as well too.
The way that posed just now, it felt very like Dark Crystal to me.
Yeah. Those, I don't know if they're birds or what those things are, but, so here, let's check him out without
the
his,
Mystics.
Purple gang.
Yep. So out of the package though, doesn't it come with the head, like without the neck piece? It comes with the head directly on the
head on this new piece that they created.
That cool. When you showed that out of the box, I was like, oh, that's kind of a unique look for it. I like it.
Well, it's like, who's this guy? Like, it doesn't. I mean, if we, come up with more characters, we're able to kind of add different things. But yeah, he can look a little bit more.
That looks so good with the translucent hand.
Too big to be on the page, but excuse me. Yeah, he's awesome. And again, writing these characters into the comic book and like filling out the personality sides of them has been a lot of fun. So I can't wait to deliver on that. That's actually being colored. The flat colors are already done, and then they're adding the rendering and stuff right now too. So tail wise, this is going to be the longest one of the bunch. But again, because of the posability, you can twist and turn, and you can literally pop this end piece off as well if you wanted to. But there's, I mean, from top to bottom, he's a big chunky boy. So
that's a wizard that dumped all of his high rolls into his strength modifier.
Okay,
this one for sure. This guy all day long.
I gotta say, after seeing them like without the torso armor, I may display quite a few of them like that because they just look so beefy and bruisery like that. Yeah, Lego weapon.
Give the guy a battle axe. But yeah, so
hatchet fireball.
Okay, so since we've been talking about it already, and so this is what we showed off on the Kickstarter. This is the color scheme. This plastic is wonderfully malleable. And so get this hand off him before.
And this is Blue Jesus, right? Oh wait, no, that's a different line.
That's a different line, but there's going to be some crazy Jesus dino battles going on this year for sure. So this is what we showed off, our digital renders of. This is what we asked for. This is what everyone was like, click, I'm going to buy. And I'm like, hey, did you guys do that figure for me yet? I want to see it, because this was one of them that we didn't have a paint master for. We just kind of came up with the digital render. The rest of them we had paint masters for. But so then the next day he's like, oh yeah, we finished it. It turned out awesome. Here it is. And we were like, that literally is nothing like what we shared and showed. And they're like, no, but it's really good. And I'm like, yeah, I like it. Cool. I said, you know what? Mail me that one too. I want to review it and check it out. Because if there happens to be a slime pit or some sort of, thing that works into the storyline. But yeah, so that's this is the one that's being delivered, and this is the one that they accidentally made. So
can we expect that we may see that as like an exclusive?
Maybe. If numbers work out well for it, it's just we have to make so many of them to make it worth doing. But I'm definitely not opposed.
Even if it's a figure that all the tooling is done for already.
Yeah, and it's the same with the blanks. It's like I'm not going to be conceited enough to be like, you know what? Screw you, Greg. I know you want a brown dinosaur or a blank one that you want to color and you don't like these bright colors. I just went to the factory and I'm like, hey, can we do blanks? And they're like, oh, that's a little bit less expensive. I'm like, so I can sell them less expensive on Kickstarter? They're like, yeah. And so I'll definitely push aside my own thoughts and be like, hey, if this is what people want, I'm not going to deny that. We just have to, and it's going to be fun showing these off at the next couple shows that are, unfortunately, there's no PowerCon this year, but by the time Legions Con comes around, everyone's going to be having fun and sharing their versions of stuff. So,
Yeah,
which I know one of you guys are going to have the idea already, but I know I'm already speaking it into existence because I would want to do it. Is like you take all of the Jurassic Park Jeep colors and color scheme, and you have your own little wave of like Jurassic Park versions of the Armies of Ahsmore.
That'd be cool.
Got a quick question for you here in the chat, Matt.
Yeah.
From my buddy's Customs. Odd question. How do these figures stand next to NECA dinosaur figures? I have some odd and amazing crossover ideas for them. So, the Dinosaurs, the TV show, NECA has a line of those figures out. Have you seen them?
So is that the Not the Mama?
Yes.
Yes.
Show? Okay, I don't know of that. I do know that the only ones we've seen ours next to was like the Triceratops, I believe, from NECA. On the My Wife podcast, they showed we had both of the figures standing next to each other. And I know that there are some screenshots out there of that, but I unfortunately I'm not familiar with those action figures. I remember the show being pretty funny, but yeah. All right, next. I apologize I don't have a good answer for you. Here's the general.
Nice.
Here comes the general.
So the general is, again, I just think that they seem cool and look cool without.
He's the one that when I read your comic book, and this is before the toy line or anything. When I read the comic book, I reached out to you and I was like, this needs to be an action figure. Like, he just screams action figure.
We've talked about this since day one. This is straight up CJ, like CJ's design work. Like my first sketches I sent to him, everybody already knows the story. I had a crush on Sarah from Land Before Time. So my character was orange like her, and like I designed it, and then he sent it back to me and he's like, no, he's going to have a piece of his plate, cut out from a battle. He's going to have a scar. And this is like 15 years ago when we have the first comic book. We're going to gash his eye out. They're going to literally take his eye out and have a scar there. We're going to have a nut. The end of his tail was cut off in the Great War. Like, so he built up this whole character from like his mind, and like it knocked it out of the park. So again, with that, and then Andrew's colors, let me back up the camera just a little bit so I can get. Did you guys see who your camera holder was here?
Oh yeah.
So would you say the average height on these, like with the regular necks, is about 9 inches tall?
Yes. Okay. I can even grab a tape measure, but it's for sure at least 9. But yeah, so Ciros.
How many Milwick necks is that? If you were to measure it in Milwick necks.
And how tall is he in Milwick necks? He is 2 Milwick necks long.
Okay.
Which I haven't done it yet either, but I do know that these necks can. People asked if a regular head will go on to a Milwick neck and stuff like that. And so I'm gonna actually try that here real quick while we're looking at Ciros. But so Ciros, yeah, he's the main character or one of the main characters in the Defenders of Eden comic book itself. But when we were designing the toy line, we wanted to make sure that it was doable, that we could kind of reuse the bucks. And I'm gonna throw a little heat on this real quick. So we wanted to make sure that we could get our money out of this buck. So talks amongst yourselves.
All right. My buddy's customs came back, says I was thinking of them all sitting around the table while the Sinclairs family from Dinosaurs played D&D, and AOA figures are their characters they made.
Love it.
Interesting.
Nice.
That's kind of fun.
Yep.
Yeah, that is. Bud's a creative
Well,
guy for
that's
sure.
a look.
That
Well, and now if you bought the head packs, you will have that neck in all of the appropriate colors as well. So
Correct. So I'll show you real quick before we move on to the next one. Was that
that combo makes me extremely uncomfortable for some
I
reason.
getting really excited over here. So
Did you?
That makes
Was it, were you looking? You're like, is it too weird?
no, I
It's-
wanna rub it. It's Curtis likes to put stuff on his lips.
I was just gonna say, Curtis, are your
I
lips
do.
going on that?
I don't know. Maybe. I know. I had a question with I know the boxes you got these in, they're just white, and you said that that's not obviously the finished product. Do you anticipate that there's going to be like any sort of bios on these things, or any?
We have the full bios. We actually have, so the side panels are going to have the characters,
Mhm,
and it's going to be one big mural.
mhm.
And then the fronts, basically, it's going to have this little drop down right above the head, Defenders of Eden classic logo, and then these bottom, there's going to be kind of rock formations, and then right about here is going to be the Armies of Ahsmore logo. So it's going to have a little bit more. But yeah, the box artwork is turning out awesome. It's being colored right now, and then we do have those box sleeves that we're still working with Barch on his designs with that. So here's how the head packs look in the box. Obviously, we took out that one that he's on that figure. But I don't know what we're gonna do art wise on these boxes. It's one of those things. Cost effectiveness. Do people want super cool? I mean, I guess they do want super cool artwork on that stuff, but whether they're gonna get it or not, I guess I don't know. So here, really quick.
Greg says you sound like you're selling used cars.
Dude, I love me some Greg.
There's probably a reason.
Yeah. So like this, for example, they did not get the yellow. We needed that metallic to match this character.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the notes, is that when these heads go on the other character's body, if they're the green set of heads, we want the armor and the details on it to match as if it was going with that character. So that is one thing that, again, we made a note of, and we want to make sure. I'm gonna get this head back on this guy really quick, but Greg sells used cars as well, so I don't know what he's talking about, because I know he loves the.
Yeah,
We've shared stories before, and if you want to know any crazy, goofy stories of used cars, I know that he has some really good ones too. So
he's one of those fancy dealerships, though. Like
very fancy.
You're
Very
the mom and pop, literally.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yeah, he does not work for his father-in-law.
Mother?
he's got a tie on and everything.
So-
It's crazy.
So I know last time we talked, it seemed like you expected that before Legion's Con, people should have these in hand, and that you would possibly have some stuff at Legion's Con. So let's say somebody ordered an all in, they get it in, and they go, man, I really wish I would have ordered that heads pack, or I would have got one more of this thing. Like, is that something that they're going to be able to do at Legion's Con, you think?
Yeah, I definitely want to make it worth my while when I'm getting containers shipped over here from China. So I'm definitely going to have personal stock for myself that I'll have extras of pretty much everything outside of the exclusives, because those were exclusives.
Yeah.
Speaking of exclusives, so this is one that I'm going to grab the camera for him. Caspar, this guy turned out great. The only thing about him is that this green, it ended up a little bit more in the neon,
and it's actually supposed to be a metallic. We paid for a metallic. We showed off a metallic. We said that that's what it was going to be. So that was the only downside about him recently that we needed to make sure.
I
was just about to say I like that green better.
I think I like
green
this.
Yeah. He's so we're definitely taking a look at that. Because, again, no, dude, I'm right with you. But it literally
comes off, right?
It comes down to, you know what? I don't know. I think they glued the mask on this guy.
Oh, okay.
Who asks questions like that? No, I'm just joking. I thought dude said that. That's why. This guy's eyes too. Let me see if I can get.
I think those two greens play really well off each other.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Man, that's really cool.
It would have been so easy just to paint those one solid color.
Yeah. So the eyes, he just ended up looking freaking awesome. And again, since we worked in these exclusives, we wanted to make sure that we told a cool story, including these characters. So obviously, Caspar, this isn't what he originally looks like. He's the mysterious albino because he's one of their buddies, one of the war buddies, and essentially he is kidnapped. That's all I can tell you about the book. But he's kidnapped, and they have to go find him. You know, he was trained by Kuzo. He was a battle buddy with Rydor, and Vasapo is actually not one of the war guys. He's actually a royal guard, so he's like super young, and he's like, these guys are coming back from war and battle and everything, and he's like, man, it would be so cool to be on the front lines with those guys. And Kuzo's like, bro, you don't want any of this stuff out here. Like, stay at your post at the castle and be happy because you're just one of these soft guys. And the sneak peek I will tell you about in the comic book, I have to tell you because it's really funny, is they're about to have this secret meeting about what happened to Caspar.
Yeah.
And they're in the secret room where it happened, right? And Vasapo is at the door. He's just guarding the door, you know. And General Siros is in there. He's like, this is the mission we've got to go on. You know, this is what happened. Caspar was on leave. He was like at a village off in the distance, and blah blah blah. And like they ended up taking him, all this other stuff. And Vasapo's standing there with his spear, and he's outside of the room, but he's like, the door's cracked, and he's kind of like listening in. And then General Siros is like, so it's only going to be the 5 of us on this mission. And Kuzo's just like, there's 4 of us here, bro. And then General Siros is like, hey. And then they like all look at the door, and he's like standing there in the doorway, like, and he's like, you're coming with us. So it has a really cool dynamic in the book of like this young, like super green, like, I want to see what those guys go off to war and get to do. And just the dynamics of personalities with it. So it's going to be really cool, but it's all to save their brother in arms, Caspar. So
that's super cool.
That's
nice.
fun.
Let me grab 2 more things really quick here. And so, yeah, you guys are going to get to see, showed you that stuff. Let me show you one with where it's just in the box. So, yep, I'm going through every single one of these and just making a quick note of, hey, this is missing, you know, this black detail, or this is missing, you know, and I've heard people are like this head because there's a red triceratops in some cartoon or some, you know, some property, I think. And so they want to build a red triceratops. Not just what is that one called? Is it Dino Saucers or one of those?
No idea.
No, a red Kuzo is from some cartoon or something. Somebody keeps tagging me on Instagram about like these random dinosaur cartoons, which I can honestly say, without lying and with a straight face, is that like my inspiration for all of this stuff, and the same with CJ and Andrew, is like our love for Motu and our love for just colorful, fun stuff. I never watched any of those dinosaur cartoons that everyone references when they come past my table and they're like, oh, that looks like this. And I'm like, that's cool. You think that. It's the same reason why I had my little Tech Trek custom figure, and guys came by and they're like, man, I had that as a kid. I remember that thing. And I'm like, it's a custom, it's a Terminator Salvation base, and like somebody made it for me, and they're like, no man, I bought that when my mom got that for me. And I'm like, okay, if it brings you to that space in your head, I'm fine with it.
You mean you don't know Denver the Last Dinosaur?
I'm not familiar. Then we'll share this weapons pack.
That's gorgeous.
Which
That's
is
the Eric Miller set, right?
Yep, this is the Eric Miller painted set. Thank you to Eric Miller. He did a wonderful job on this. And this is it's titled the Brute Weapons Pack. Also, all of this stuff outside of the 2 exclusives, they are still live on Big Bad Toy Store for pre-order, and we have been selling more through there as well. Beautiful. For this year. The people that missed the Kickstarter. So yeah, the Eric Miller set. The only thing it doesn't come with is the magic and the Milwick staff. And then I haven't messed with this one at all yet, and I haven't gone through this all, but we have basically it's called the alternate color scheme pack. So basically each weapon set is painted to match like the dinosaur next to it, and so on and so forth. So it kind of it's kind of a cool look, and definitely gives you again that playability where you have let me grab this. Actually works out perfectly, and now I can match. See, if it doesn't match, then I know what it's supposed to match is that this should match. It looks like it doesn't not match, but it maybe needs a little bit more weathering. But then you can have a red tail for him.
Nice.
And so
Okay.
Or you can just even if it's right on his little club here too.
Nice.
So yeah, going through each of these weapons now and making sure that they match paint wise. Looks like it needs a little bit more weathering.
It looks like it's missing the wash or something.
Yeah.
Brighter. Yeah.
So going through each of them in that way, and again making sure that they are what they're supposed to be. MattRod, heroic lover. That's me.
That's what you typed in.
That's what I typed in.
It's probably what Dude typed over.
Seems like a
that was
dude.
all Matt.
Seems like a dude.
That was
that's
been up there the
for
whole
your live
time,
podcast audience. You guys can't just play it up and be like, Dooch did it and Matt didn't do it himself. You guys.
It's not a podcast, apparently.
Right. This is a YouTube show. If it was a podcast, we would have gone with the shtick, but
yeah,
this is a YouTube show. So
yeah, we're gonna.
Look, you guys have to let me know it's a shtick ahead of time. I don't know these things.
But yeah. So alternate weapons pack. That's also on Big Bad Toy Store. Yeah, this is freaking nuts, guys. Honestly, and I feel overwhelmed right now just talking about it. But I appreciate the support. I also appreciate that people like it enough that there's no way everyone that I talk to about this are good actors. So when people actually support it and think it's cool and think this is fun and they enjoy it, that's what makes me feel great, because I know one person could lie to me like that, but not everyone.
All right. So I got a question for you, Matt. It may take a little work on your part.
Yeah.
Separate yourself from this line for a minute. Okay.
Yep.
You didn't work on it. You didn't write the comic book. You didn't work with CJ, whatever. Just as a person who has collected and loved toys all your life, if you got this line that you're holding in your hand right now, just based on the way it moves, based on the way it looks, everything that you've been able to play with for the last few days, what would your thoughts be on this line?
My thoughts would be, this is really cool. I wonder why it really hasn't been done.
Sorry.
Why it hasn't been done to this scale yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I think that the more people see them and hold them, the more they like them, which is like, for me, that's a benefit of where you can get a toy and you're like, I like this character, or I like this toy. But then it like is just there, and there's like no like increase in like, I don't know what it would be called, liking it. There's no increase in like, oh, this is like, I feel like it continues to turn people on in a good way, as far as like it earns its place on the shelf, instead of just automatically going on the shelf because this is my favorite character for the past 20 years. Like, I'm going to buy it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because those things, as much as we love Raph and as much as that figure is cool, like Raph kind of gets that bump up onto Jesse's shelf, because whether it's a great figure or a mid-range figure or not, like it kind of gets that bump. And so we don't have the benefit of that bump, I guess is what I'm saying. And so that's why I'm thankful for people within the toy community that know toys and know creative properties and enjoy them, and like look at this and like, I'm telling you guys, like I'm very impressed with how they turned out, and I hope you guys are as pleased as I am. And if you have any problems with it, I'm not going to respond to your emails. So
I think the thing that makes me most excited about these, from watching you tonight, as well as watching your live in the Defenders of Eden Facebook group, by the way, if you guys aren't in there, check it out. Any kind of new updates, Matt's posting in there pretty regularly. You definitely want to be in there. But I think the thing that I'm most excited for is that as I'm seeing you mess around with these things, you can't put them down. Like, you are constantly playing with them and having fun. And I think that speaks to kind of the amount of quality that the factory has put into this, that you just love playing with them. So
yeah, no, I agree. And I think that the size to the ratio of just having these humans, stand right next to them and just be.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about your love of Motu. Like, when we were kids, the reason why Motu was so much different than Joe's or Star Wars or whatever is because they were big and bulky in your hand. Well, now as adults, this is that same kind of thing. This hits that, hey, this is a big bulky character in your hand kind of vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, completely agree. Dooch, did you have any questions or?
No, they look beautiful, man. I'm happy for you, and I can't wait to get my hands on them and play around with them.
I appreciate Dooch was there that lonely night. I was sitting by myself, and I was like putting out the blanks, and I was feeling overwhelmed. And Dooch actually came by, and he started setting them up and playing with them. But it took took this anxiety off of me, where I'm just like, okay, like it's real now. It's here. And are you not entertained?
I want to throw something in here if I can.
Yeah.
It's your podcast.
No, it's his YouTube show.
If Raph gets the bump, because he's been a favorite of mine for over 30 years at this point, right?
Yeah. 100%.
But like, when I get a Raph figure, I'll futz around with it until I show it off on this show. Then it goes up on this shelf right here, and it stays there until I redo the shelf.
Yep.
Like these, I'm more excited to get these because I've read the comics. I know some of the story.
Yeah.
But it's like with Mythic Legions and Cosmic Legions stuff, there's like such an unknown potential there of like what these characters are, what they can be, what the stories are. It's like I don't know their personalities enough yet to, it's like Luke Skywalker. You know how you're going to pose a Luke Skywalker,
right?
But with these guys, it's just like, it's just a little bit. You were talking about how Vaspo standing outside the door and overhearing it. He's the younger one. Like, that's informing so much.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is too, with your blanks and the way you play with them. And it sounds corny, but it comes down to that. Like, I used to come down here when my kid was little, and he'd have all the legends and all the He-Man stuff and all the X-Men stuff, and all the castles were intermixed with the X-Jet and everything. And it's like, it helps tap into that, like, outside of this dude's name and the comic book, you can imagine this guy in any way you want. And that's what's so cool about it, is that that's what tapped into. I'm looking at my WWE Eternia figures, and that's what that taps into to me too, is just like, this is new, this is creative, this is different. Where does it take my imagination? And that's where I think that people are going to enjoy it. And again, at Legion's Con, we're going to see tables, and you're going to watch. There are going to be people selling their versions of their customs of these figures, and that blows my mind to see what they can come up with, because there's so many creative people in this community. I just happen to be lucky enough to be in this position where I'm not gonna like take any credit that's not due. Is that like, I have always felt like I was going to have a toy line and a comic book and all this stuff happen to me. And I've been lucky enough to be surrounding myself with the people that like know how to help me and believe in my dream enough and know how to help me make it succeed. And so once it went on Kickstarter, and once we crossed that threshold of what we needed to raise, it was like that, again, not, toot my own horn type of thing, but like that validation of like, no, like people dig this, bro. Like people dig it, believe in it, believe in yourself, that type of stuff, where it's like, holy crap, like I am making something where this isn't just sketches in my sketchbook for the past 20 years. Like this is finally like physical product that people can enjoy. And so that's been a really cool part of it.
And I gotta say one more thing. I'm not saying luck's not a part of it, but you've worked your butt off to make this happen. Like,
it's been tough, and I feel bad because like online, like I know every day, like you guys get it. Like you guys all have jobs and everything, and like we're all like doing our like grind of life and support the family and kids and all the other stuff. But then we're also trying to like dabble in this professional and semi-professional hobby world too. And so the fact that like, yeah, you work 50 hours a week at a car lot and you got to, but you want to go to your kid's soccer game and stuff. But you also want to hang out with your boys and like talk about these toys. Like it's been kind of that combination of all that stuff happening, where if it wasn't for my job, this wouldn't happen. If it wasn't for my kids and my wife helping me out, this wouldn't happen. If it wasn't for you guys and my friends that have all cultivate me creatively, like this stuff wouldn't have happened. So that's why like credit where it's due in that sense. But yeah, I mean, again, you're right. Just like I'm working very, very hard at becoming a professional toy maker when my day job, like I'm like, I joke, I'm like, it's fake it till you make it. Like, it's like, do they know I'm just a used car salesman that like likes children's stuff? Like it's, it's.
Well, we do have a couple of questions from the chat. Greg wants to know if there's going to be a Puerto Rican version with a PR flag. Greg,
you'll see at Legion's Con, bro.
And then Wholesome Warlock was wanting to know which dinosaur is the best tickler. So for a little backstory on this, a few weeks back, Jesse and I had both Tomas and Emil on our show. We were invaded by the Swedes.
Nice.
And we asked them a question on who would win between the two of them in a tickle fight. So you've got both of them.
Do you want to know my answer to that question?
Sure. I would like to know your answer to that one, as well as their versions of dinosaurs, who would win.
So in that story of Tomas and Emil would be enjoying it too much, and he would just lose because he just wants to get tickled more. Like Tomas is wonderful and lovely, but I feel like if you give him a goal that you are going to win this tickle fight, he would take that way more serious than Emil would. Emil would just be happy to be in the fight. Tickling wise, as far as these guys go, honestly, I'd want to say Milwick would probably be the best tickler of the crew, of this crew specifically. I'm not going to speak on any other future waves or any other future characters. But there is a tickler coming up in a future wave. I do know that.
Oh wow!
Are they a 10 tickler?
Or do they
French,
practice
perhaps?
at it? Do they like do like a test run, like maybe a test tickler?
A testicular. Is it that point in the show now? 10:45. We've hit that point.
Yes.
It's about that time.
Yeah. We still have
It's
one
always
other
that
topic
point
to
here.
go through.
I've got one last thing for your line. Obviously, we're very excited for this wave one. Almost about to have it in hand. I do want to pull up Big Bad Toy Store here and look at kind of what they've got available. But as far as what can we expect moving forward, can you talk is there anything you can give us? I know people have talked about, are we going to get expressive faces? Are we going to get other types of animals? Are we going to get humanoids? What can you tell us about what is in store for us in the future?
So the end goal has always been the humanoid characters with unique tooling, but that is also the most expensive as far as everyone kind of looking different as far as our humans go. So that has always been the end goal. The thing is, now we have a lot of money wrapped into this buck in a good way. And we're not going to deny the fans of what they want. And we do have Skavar coming up. We have Venusia coming up. You guys have probably seen some images at shows and seen some of those paint masters. So those two for sure are on the docket. I did have another Bronto character that was on the docket that a former employee painted. And he's been shown at different shows, but that's no longer going to be part of the line. We're not moving forward on that character. But those two are for sure big buck characters. And then we're going to have our slender dinosaur buck that we're going to be able to do 5 more characters with.
Okay.
And that one, because the tooling is smaller, less expensive, that one's going to come a lot quicker. And I think because of this process, the learning curve of factory stuff, backer kit, Kickstarter, all that stuff, I think that this next wave is going to be produced a lot more in a timely fashion, where this one, there's kind of those bumps in the road of a normal new toy line would be, where I get a box in the mail and I tell them, hey, don't send this one express. Last time you sent it express, it cost $500. And then they send this one not express and it takes 2 weeks. And then I get a bill for $1,200. And I'm like, wait a minute. So yeah.
And one more question from the audience was, are we going to get more tributes? Which I think is an important question, because people want to know how long it's going to be before they're named, have a dinosaur named after them. So I think everybody wants one. They want this line to go as far as they can, so that everybody that likes this line will eventually get a dino named after them.
I do think that that's a possibility. I definitely go out of my way to give everyone their tribute. Let me see if I can.
But this is only a tribute
Do we know how to turn around a camera on this thing or no?
to the greatest song in the world.
I'm not sure on StreamYard. I'm not sure that there's even an option.
Okay, can you guys see?
Yeah.
I was messing around with a little bit more of the.
Yeah, that's
People
all.
wanted to see just kind of a different looking pose.
Yeah, that's neat. I really can't wait to get that translucent one and put the regular armor on it. I think that'll look cool.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, so tribute names. What were we talking about? Yeah. Next one. There's definitely not going to be a Dooch character anytime soon.
all right.
But oops, I don't know which way I'm going. Oh, there they are.
I don't need a tribute.
Just wanted to show what we've got available still on Big Bad Toy Store. So it looks like the main figures are all still up, $74.99. You do have the weapons pack with the alternate colors, as well as the different head packs and that Eric Miller weapon set there. So This is the one that I don't think I got this one. I think I might have to go in and order that because I
Yeah,
think
that's the alternate color scheme.
yeah. Awesome.
Dude, this is seriously, this is the stupidest thing in the world. Like, this is so nuts. Like, I'm in my basement full of toys, and I'm talking to 4 dorks about my toys. And like,
On a not
is this real? Like, is this real?
yeah.
And people are going to this site. People are going to this site and they're buying them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is wonderful. It's wonderful.
Like, eventually, these little tabs are going to say sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, you can make 4 interest-free payments of $18.75 on Sezzle.
That's a hell of a deal.
There you go.
That's Zelle.
Sure.
Yeah, and so down there, see if you scroll down there, those heads. We initially promoted them not having those helmets and masks, but we changed that out so that they do. So I do need to send Big Bad Toy Store updated artwork, and updated pictures of the figures so that they can see, and they even don't. And yeah,
these are just like color corrected, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Were these paint masters, or are these just
like those are digital renderings, actually.
Gotcha. That's what I figured.
Yep.
Cool.
Dude, you guys are cool.
We try.
Thanks for liking my stuff.
We love it.
Thanks for making cool stuff to like.
Yeah, exactly. With that, primary objective. X-Men 97. Right. Who wants to start off with this?
We're all caught up, right?
I have, yeah, there's one episode left, right, that hasn't aired yet.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm caught up until there. Yeah. The one that hasn't aired. Okay, so anybody want to start this off and just kind of explain what X-Men 97 is and then get their thoughts going?
Who here is like a kid X-Men fan, like an X-Men fan through their childhood? Or maybe just the cartoon as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, Dooch.
Yes, cartoon, no.
Yes, cartoon.
Okay. So cartoon, no. So you're coming from the 97 isn't your bag angle. You're a Claremont Jim Lee guy.
Yes.
Okay.
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 All right.
But we've all watched the show as kids, or we have all watched the original.
We have all watched some of the original. Jesse hated the original.
Okay.
So he did not watch a lot. I love the original. I was not an X-Men comic fan growing up. I didn't read really any Marvel comics growing up. So the cartoon was my X-Men. So I loved the cartoon back then. I'm really loving this one. I think it is everything that I've missed in the MCU over the last 2 or 3 years. I feel like the storylines, they matter. There's weight to it. There is emotion in it. And I'm riveted from one episode to the next. I absolutely have loved it. The only thing that I haven't loved, which I talked to Dooch about earlier today, is that some of the X-Men 97 fans really feel the need to, like, immediately after it drops and they watch it, post spoilers on Facebook, like as quick as humanly possible, and not even give people a couple hours to watch it before they're posting spoilers. So F you to those people. And
not even that. It's like, because I think Jesse like texted me in the Wednesday morning and was like, "Did you watch it?" Or like, and I'm like, "I just finished it." But those people aren't even posting that stuff the night of the day it comes out. They're posting it the morning of the day too,
right?
Which is a double dork move.
Yeah, but I'm loving it, and I will now turn it over to Jesse because I know Jesse had different feelings about the original, and he's got certain feelings about this one. So Jesse, turn it over to you, and then we'll just kind of go around.
Well, okay. Yes, I did not enjoy the original cartoon. I tried watching it earlier this year, last year, just to kind of refresh some of it. And I think I got 2 or 3 episodes in, and I was like, all right, I'm done. There's just something about the art style of it, and I know it's of its time. Like I'm definitely like judgmental of that. Like that's because I came into it because I like the art in the comics, and seeing that. And as a kid, I mean, I should have known it wasn't going to match the look of the comic books, like the overall style and everything. But after the first couple episodes, I was like, I'm loving this show. Like I was hooked. I mean, they're really shorthanding and truncating a lot of stories just to kind of work little things in there. But I know they're not probably going to, spend the time to do all those stories to the full justice. So getting little nods to them is fun. Like there's the whole part where like Rogue talks about being a bad guy for a little while, and it's like, her foster mom took her to Magneto, and all this stuff, and like it's in the Savage Land, and the comic side of me is like, her Savage Land story is way cooler than just her in like a ripped up bikini and hanging out with dinosaurs. Like she's there with no powers. She's already been a hero for a while. Like she's surviving on her own before Magneto finds her, and she teams up with him and all that stuff. So, but I can set that aside because I liked that they at least made a nod to it, and nodding into some stuff with the Shi'ar Empire, and Charles and his like armor suit that he wears out there and everything. But I really like the animation on the new show, like the I don't know what they call it, the character sheets, or whatever the I forget what that technical term in animation is called for the character design.
It's not a podcast, I know that.
The turnarounds.
The turnaround, yeah, they have like a special like thing that like if someone else is doing a different character, and they they can see the official
Jordan
render.
says it's jiggle motion.
No.
No, that's not it. Sorry, Jordan.
I don't know, whatever it is, I really like it. And I like the stories they're doing. Like you were saying, it's the stories that have more weight than I remember the cartoon, what I did try to watch of it having. I feel like the stakes are there. The last couple episodes, I feel like they're not making this show for children. Like some of the content, and it's not like extreme, like adult, like mature audiences, but it's not for like little kids. I think they do. I mean, there's a few things that kind of annoy, like Wolverine being kind of the butt of every joke. Like he feels like a joke character in this show. Up until more recent model sheet. Thank you, Mark Rivera. With thanks.
I could have swore it was jiggle motion. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, Jesse, I'll chime in on that though. Like, I think that there's been so much intentionality with every aspect of this show, even coming down to like the recent "What did you expect?" black leather joke, that Wolverine not being the butt of every joke for the past 25 years, I can see how like they've been like, you know what? Everybody knows Wolverine. Everyone knows who he is and how cool he is. Let's like shine on everyone else. And I think in the shining on everyone else, it's the same thing with the movies. Like everything was shining on Wolverine. So just because of that, Cyclops ended up just being kind of the guy that like took it,
No, I totally get that. And like I did think it was kind of funny at first, but like there's some moments where it kind of like, I don't need him to be the cool, like the always cool guy or the always focused guy. Like I like him, but I don't need that from him. But I just feel like they've kind of dumbed him down in some, like every time he says something, and apparently my friend was watching the original show this week. He did it in the old show too. So I guess it's just a continuation of that. But every time he says like a one-liner, he pops his claws. Like, oh, I've got your answer right here. Snicked, it's like, oh, we're going to go find him right now. It's just like every time he just pops his claws. And like, I get he needs to have that, but it's like, all right, something's going to happen. Again, he doesn't need to be the main guy. It is still a cartoon, but like this last episode, I think they let him play that up because of what happened in this recent episode. That kind of made it all.
I got a question, and I've been itching to ask it like for the last day or two. In this past episode, how happy were you when she turned in her jacket? When Rogue turned in her jacket and she's just sitting there in the all green outfit?
I mean, I saw that outfit underneath the jacket, so I was like, okay, they went with the green and white, which.
But I know you hate the jacket too. On top of that, like you don't like.
Well,
the jacket.
No. I don't hate that jacket. It's just not my favorite costume, and I feel like that's the one because of the cartoon. That's everybody's quintessential Rogue, and you know they've leaned into like all the shirts I have that because that's just the most iconic pop culture look for her.
But that wasn't her jacket at that point.
Yeah, that was Gambit's.
Gambit's.
She was wearing Gambit's jacket, which I was like, opinions aside, what they've done in the show and the way they played the emotional storytelling off between those characters, I'm like, I like that, like that whole thing with Genosha, and then her wearing that jacket. I was like, that's kind of a nice touch. Like, I know other people are going to appreciate that a lot more than I am. And I'm wondering if that's why they've leaned really hard into this model sheet version having a green coat, because they knew they were going to have Gambit's jacket on her at one point, even though it's a trench coat, and not the short bomber jacket that she wears. People would get confused by it. So I wonder if that was like an intentional choice that they knew that was going to happen at some point. So, but overall, I like it. I think the performances are great. I enjoy the voice acting. I really like the animation overall. I liked the whole life-death story with Storm. The Genosha stuff was crazy awesome.
I didn't get I didn't get the other costume changes. I got hers because she's turning in the jacket and she's whatever. Like they're getting ready to have this like massive battle, and they all decide to like go to their old costume. Like, hey guys,
they explain that. I
must have missed that. What did they explain?
So the mansion was blown up, so they didn't have their regular stuff.
They already were wearing, most of them were already wearing their shit.
And most of them got jacked up in that fight, though. Like Wolverine's was torn up. And
yeah, the ones
I think that those costumes were still at Muir Island. Yeah, where Moira McTaggart. So those were like they're kind of the vintage looks. Now, they did something in this past episode that I don't know if you guys were ever players of the video game. But like, there's an actual cut scene before you fight Magneto or before you get to Magneto's level in the video game, where it's like in the foreground, it's Professor X and it's Nightcrawler, Cyclops, and Wolverine in those costumes. And they actually, in this episode, I could be completely wrong, but I think I'm completely right. They do that exact like cut scene of all of a sudden they're on Asteroid M. And it's the four of those guys exactly like that video game. And it just jumped out at me. I'm like, I've seen that before. And I'm trying to rack my brain. I'm like, that's from the freaking video game. Like there's so many random stuff like that in this show that you can tell that they're like very intentional. Like Bastion's parents and like all of the characters from every character in every scene in this show is from the original show too, which is like, that they didn't have to do that, you know, like they didn't have to make every intro have different parts of it and different little nods and change Storm out for the new costume to the old costume and, you know, those types of things. So that's where I'm like, whoever's working on the show, like, I'm down with them. Like we talked about earlier with James Gunn, like I've seen enough of him where I'm like, I trust this guy. And like, I've seen enough of this season where whoever are the showrunners that are like making those final decisions, I trust where they're at, because I mentioned this to Jesse earlier about a different movie, but like the whole show don't tell. Sometimes with these properties, we just assume, oh, the audience already knows who X, Y, and Z is. So we're just going to not have them be those characteristics because the audience already knows those characteristics, and then you end up having shells of characters. But every episode, it's showing you no, this is Nightcrawler. This is his personality. He's comforting his stepsister. He's fighting with 3 swords. He's like Wolverine.
That 3-sword thing was cool. I'll admit that 3-sword thing was freaking awesome.
Like Cyclops. Like Cyclops is the leader of the X-Men. The general audience of X-Men, outside of those that like truly read comics, casual people think Cyclops is a dork because of how he's been represented in the past 15 years of movies. You give me one episode of this show and you're like, obviously he's the freaking leader. Like, obviously they're following this guy because he has the personality for it, the skill set for it. He walks in and he's like hero or villain, and he just kind of smiles and he's like, obviously hero. Like, I'm like, no, this is who Cyclops' personality is. So like, they're actually showing us telling us, showing us who these characters are while the story's progressing, so that if Cyclops makes that turn down a dark path, possibly in season 2, and if we want, like, there's these options going forward. If Wolverine takes a different role because of what just happened to him in this most recent episode, where Rogue ends up, it's so cool seeing storytelling being told, and like you just watching it unfold, where like Life to Storm and Forge, like all of that stuff, like we're just building each of these characters up, and I'm a complete homer. Like, I grew up on, like, I absolutely have the most softest spot for it. So like, I'm definitely like going to bat for it in that sense. But like Curtis said, it's the heart of understanding the characters that has been lacking in the past few years of Marvel stuff, where they just assume, oh, it's a teen version of Spider-Man. She's funny and she has this power set. Make a show of her. It's like, no, like, give us more. And that was one of the better shows in my opinion, but for kids. But overall, there's been something lacking, and I haven't been able to put my finger on it in Marvel stuff over the past few years. And then you start this show, fan or not, X-Men fan or not, cartoon fan or not, and this show has a heartbeat, and that's what to me like is undeniable. Sorry about my rant.
You're fine. Joe or Dooch, we kind of got out of order. One of you guys want to go? Joe, I think Joe should go because we made Joe watch a lot of stuff this week. He had to watch a couple movies for the Have You Ever.
Wait, what? No, those are weeks apart. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he had to watch a bunch of X-Men. So Joe, we made you watch a bunch of stuff. What are you thinking about X-Men so far?
Well, I've been collecting comics since I was very, very young. My dad traveled a lot for his work. He was a truck driver and worked road construction. Back then, truck stops would have comic book racks. So even when I was as young as 4 years old, when he'd stop to get gas, he'd grab me a comic book. So he would come home from these long trips with like 3 or 4 comics. So I've loved X-Men and all kinds of properties for, since I was very, very, I learned to read with comic books. My mother told me that, because I remember having a Spider-Man comic, and would you read this to me? And she said, I'll read it, but you have to read this, all the things that Spider-Man says. So I actually learned to read with comic books. That's a story I haven't told before, but I like it. Yeah. The cartoon. Now I haven't watched the original X-Men cartoon since it was on in the 90s. So I don't remember it super well, but I enjoyed it for what it was. Just like I watched Super Friends and enjoyed it, even though I was reading Justice League comic books at the time, and they were nothing alike. There was a very wide gap in the storytelling styles, but I can enjoy things for what they are. Okay. Now this one, I feel like they took enough hooks. Like, I was so excited with the Madeline Pryor character because Inferno was one of my favorite X-Men storylines of all time. And I love that one. I was a little disappointed that it's over in like 20 minutes. I wish that they had expanded on that more because there was a lot more to it. but it was fun to see. And they're giving a nod to a lot of things. The Morlocks, it was really cool seeing the Morlocks, Leech being there. And there's just a ton of nods. And I feel like I mentioned this with the Fallout show. They put the stuff in there so that if you are a super fan, you can enjoy those aspects of it, but it's not put in such a way that you have to be a fan to enjoy it, which is nice. There, there's a few things here and there that, being a fan of the comics, that like Sebastian Shaw in that attack, like part of the building falls on him and he's like just laying there unconscious. And it's like, well, I don't know. I read the comics where like a lot were, heavier things than that happened to him and it didn't even phase him. He's like invincible. So, but I get why they do it. So you see that for a second and then just let it go and move on, because it's a cartoon show and they're telling a story, and the pacing is very fast. They're definitely trying to keep us hooked and interested. They're not dwelling on anything for too long. So it was neat seeing Forge. I was a big fan of X Factor when Peter David was the writer for it, and seeing like the picture on the wall of that X Factor team was neat for me, because I was a huge fan of that series at the time. So
you remember that episode in the original show?
See, I don't, but like I said, I haven't watched it since the 90s, and I haven't taken great care of my brain over the years, so it's a little fuzzy. I do need to go back and watch that series again, though.
It's a pretty fun standalone episode, and it features that crew, and then it features Iceman too. It's one of those few episodes that you can just kind of just randomly put on and just kind of smile, because it's got so many characters in it,
that you recognize, right? Seeing Strong Guy, helping with the cleanup effort, I thought was fun too. That was a character that I liked a lot from that comic. So there were just I think that's what I enjoyed about the series the most, was just all these nods to these obscure characters that you just don't see that often, in media, visual media, but that I really enjoyed from the comic. So I enjoyed it. Is it the best representation of the characters? Well, no, of course not. Chris Claremont wrote, the X-Men comics for what, 20, 30 years, a really long time. His writing is fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
But they're taking nods from some of his storylines, Days of Future Past, the poster and things like that are just like, really cool things to see in it. I enjoyed it just for the nods, but overall it's a pretty good show, I think.
I like what you just said about the pacing. I hadn't even thought about the pacing, but you're right. Because we've had some talks on here about some of the other series that Marvel has done, the live action series and stuff. And, it seems like, if they start getting to that 8-10 episode kind of range is when it feels like there's some stuff thrown in there just to stretch it out. I definitely don't feel that with this series. Like, there's nothing in there that I'm like, man, they could have probably cut this a little bit shorter. Like, it is just like one thing after another. Boom, boom, boom. The story's progressing and you're just holding on for dear life. So
I thought breaking up the life death and having the little 2 episodes were kind of had 4 episodes, and they 2 half episodes where they had the little Jubilee episode with Mojo, and I thought that was a cool take, like just kind of breaking up storylines a little bit like that, where that felt very comic booky, where it was like you're watching one story and then you're jumping pages to another story.
Does anybody else feel like they're kind of turning Jubilee into Dazzler from the older comics? Like I'm seeing a little bit, not an exact, but like how they're developing the character. I'm starting to get kind of a Dazzler feel, like that's the role she's taking.
Yeah, it's definitely that influence is there for sure, I think.
Well, especially because I think they killed Dazzler.
What the kid that's with Jubilee?
Spoiler alert.
The other
Sunspot.
Is that a real
Roberto.
character from the comics?
Yes.
Yeah, he was
Okay,
a New
'cause
Mutants.
I didn't have any
and that was
reference to that character.
a neat
so.
nod too, was him putting on the yellow and black New Mutants costume there at the end. You know, since that was
And-
his original costume in the comics.
If you noticed, he when they give when he holds up like the family business card or whatever in the one episode, it says something like Claremont Avenue or Claremont Street or
Yeah.
something like that on it.
Yeah.
Ah, that's funny.
I didn't catch that, but that's awesome.
I know,
Yeah,
I know there was
and-
someone else that helped create him too. But yeah,
Through the whole show so far, I'm just like, I hope they give him a costume because I'm sick of that look. Like I'm like, it looks fine. It's just I'm not like a huge fan of like his design, I guess, or whatever. And so when they put him in the New Mutants costume, I'm just like, yes, they gave him a costume, and they gave Cable his X-Men costume, and Forge is there with his X-Men costume. Like, I don't know where that morph costume in the most recent episode came from. I know it's got a little bit of hints of our Age of Apocalypse, but that's the only costume change that I'm like, oh, that kind of looks weird. Unless it might just be made for the show, but I wasn't familiar with that.
Morph's only in it to give us all the cameos from all the other characters without actually
Yeah,
having those
exactly.
characters in the show.
Yeah.
Matt,
Yeah.
Matt's like been sitting over here quiet for the past like 45 minutes.
I do keep seeing those characters pop up though, and I'm like, holy shit, they brought in. Oh no, that's just Morph.
Yeah, the first day, my buddy texted me. He's like, "Holy crap! I didn't know Archangel's in this show." Like, blah blah blah. I'm like, "He's not." And he's like, "No, he was like went on the mission with them." I'm like, "No, you missed the half a second where Morph turned into him."
Yeah. All right,
I do have to say I'm really enjoying the comic relief that Morph brings to it. I like breaking up the pacing of the show with those funny lines that he has, and they are actually funny. So I'm enjoying that character a lot.
Sipping on his soda in the elevator or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dooch, what do you got?
Oh, you guys don't want to hear anything I gotta say.
Uh-oh.
I like Curtis, I think it was about 2 hours ago now, but they like X-Men the cartoon series was my X-Men. I did not read the comics. I did not, I obviously watched the movies once those came out, but like the basis for me is that original X-Men series. And so it never bothered me too much when they changed stuff or whatever, but I enjoyed it, I mean, it wasn't Spider-Man, the animated series. That was the one that I had to watch like every episode. But I always enjoyed it. I like the characters, like the stories. In this one, I'm really feeling lost and confused. And I really think for this season, if you didn't read the comics, like this isn't for you. Like Joe kind of said, with the Madeline Pryor thing, I'm like, if watching that episode that was then wrapped up in 22 minutes, I'm like, I feel like there's so much more and we didn't get any of it. Why was she the Goblin Queen? Why did she pick the name Madeline Pryor? Why did any of this happen? And even Magneto, right? Big thing now where Magneto's like, I tried to walk your path, Charles, and it's like, but did you? Because like you really didn't do anything as leader of the X-Men. You went to Genosha and you danced, and then you went right back to being a villain, granted after being captured, but just like I feel like, I guess you guys are enjoying the breakneck, like everything just happening boom boom boom. But I'm sitting here like, man, this like nothing's really had time to breathe this season. Like we haven't seen Magneto try and do any good. So when he turns back to evil, like, yeah, he never really made a turn. So, but yeah, I
think so. For Magneto, I definitely think it's a state of mind. So for instance, like the only example that they've given so far would be episode 1.5, where he essentially doesn't kill them. And
Right.
he says, don't make me regret this choice. And so even that is Magneto still being where he is in his headspace, but he's like, he's offering, what is it? Like a treaty? Like he's like, I'm not going to do anything wrong. And then, so then he saves Leech and he's like, this mother effer, like, every time they get one step closer to like, and I don't know, like you guys, like X-Men, the whole racism and fascism and all that type of stuff, obviously it's wrapped up in this whole thing, which is like really cool because like, especially episodes 1 and 2, there's so many one-liners that you're just like, holy crap, that like applies so much in this position or that position. Like, why do these people think this way or that way or whatever? But like, this all exists in real life. And so in those sense, I think that it's nailed X-Men as far as the heart of it, you know, the beginning of Magneto and Charles. You're saying, Dooch, that if there was maybe 5 more episodes, but just this same story,
I just think they tried to put too much into one season. Like, if you're going to make Magneto do his time as leader of the X-Men, make him do his time as leader of the X-Men. I was excited at the end of the second episode, you know, when Clone Gene, Real Gene, whoever the second Gene shows up, and I'm like, oh shit, like, where's this going to go this season? And within an episode that was done, and within another episode after that, Madeline was dead. So it's like, so that
spoiler alert
doesn't mean anything. And like,
but it does.
Again, like
they're still dealing with stuff just based on the show, like, because there's that whole thing where Sinister's like taunting Jean, like, oh, I could tell you when I switched you.
Yeah,
you know, so like there is still ramifications from that,
right? But I just felt like the original series did a better job of like stretching out the stories, and really, like, I never felt with the original episodes like I'm missing pieces of the story, and that's just how I'm feeling.
But there were also times with the original series where it felt like they were throwing in a bunch of fluff that you didn't need, and it made it boring. I mean, I get what you're saying, because there are parts where I'm like, well, what happened to this? And well, why was Sinister doing? You know, there's parts where I'm like, the story didn't make sense a lot, but I'm enjoying the pace at which it's going. So yeah, you know, there are some questions, and I think if you're somebody that's read a bunch of the comic books, maybe some of those gaps are filled in a little bit better. So I will give you that. But if you're just sitting there eating popcorn watching this, it's fun to watch. Like there's no doubt that this thing's a fun thing to watch. So, but I'll give you that there's some gaps. Go ahead, Joe.
I think this is the direction that this type of media is going. I bring up pacing a lot because I think in this age of cell phones and TikToks and things like that people get bored so easily and so quickly that shows are going to try to keep a breakneck pace moving forward. Not every show, but I mean this type of entertainment specifically, that everything is going to move a lot faster because they're trying harder to keep the audience's attention. A general audience.
Dude, I'm sad you're not enjoying it.
Hey, that's on me, as long as everybody else is. I actually stopped watching after that. I think it was the episode after the Goblin Queen one. I'm like, I'll give it one more episode. And then everybody online was telling me what a mistake I was making of stopping it. Like, it's the greatest series ever. So I'm like, well, I'll trudge through it some more. But yeah, I just...
Hey, man.
So have you watched them all now at this point?
Yeah, I've watched them all.
Okay.
Yep, I'm up to date. So... But like I said, it makes me feel like I need to go read the comics to really understand.
The thing is too. So I'm kind of not opposite Joe, but like I actually. So I'll push back because I actually preferred this version of Jean and the Goblin Queen and that storyline because, like, from what I remember reading it was just this whole big mess of like them trying. I know Joe's mad about this. Them because it was like from what I remember, like it was going to be a different woman that like looked like Jean, but then it ended up being a clone of Jean. But like they were writing it kind of as it was going on, and I didn't mind it. But this, like, I was able to wrap my head around the fact that these two are the exact same people, everything about them, mind-wise, outside of we know she's Madeline because she was the one knocked up, and that's the only difference. And that helped me wrap my head around just the whole concept, because we all know the Summers family tree is like crazy to deal with. And so I just thought that this was cool that they went here because a lot of people wouldn't have gone with Goblin Queen or any of this stuff as far as like what should we draw from when it comes to picking X-Men stuff out. A lot of people avoid Goblin Queen because to them it wasn't that like compelling of a story, I guess.
Yeah. See, I was compelled by the story. I didn't feel like we really got a story.
They're definitely. Sorry, Matt.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say, I think like Goblin Queen, Executioner, and Storm getting her powers, like that's a season there. Like, and you could have had Magneto being the good guy, so then go season 2 and having him flip back, and then it would have made a bigger impact, in my opinion. But
Jesse?
Well, that's how the comic books were. You know, the comic books were talking about storylines that had been going on for years,
right?
That they're compressing into 20 minutes. You know,
well,
or
20 minutes and like a week's worth of timeline in the series.
I'll agree that I mean, I even said that like we're getting like little truncated snippets of stuff, and you know, for some, like I said, the Savage Land is one of my favorite stories with Rogue, and it's completely chopped up, out of place, you know, just to have like a little reference in there. And I'm not trying to convince you to like it, Matt. Like
I'm not trying
I
to convince you guys not to. I know the chat's kind of feeling like I'm trying to say you guys are wrong or whatever. But
no.
Briggs, no, you're good, man.
My
Briggs agreeing with you. But you know, the X-Men history, especially as the comics are coming out, are so complicated and convoluted that, you know, they have the benefit of looking back now and like hashing some of that out to make it a little more streamlined in the show, because that whole thing with like Forge looking at that picture of X Factor, that X Factor team didn't exist as a team when that storyline with Forge and Storm takes place. There's at least 5-year gap in the publication storyline, if not more, between those stories taking place, which is fine. Like, I'm not that stickler of it needing to be, but it's like
them giving you that flashback, they didn't have to, and they realize that no one's going to watch a season of, or you know what I mean, like no one's going to, like, Rogue in Savage Land isn't going to like make the cut as far as like content goes. But
no,
they do just as overall, like when we're looking at the hierarchy of storylines, like, and stuff that X-Men has to offer, Savage Land Rogue is like not on the top 50. Like, I mean, just as far as the casual X-Men fan, but they do know that the casual X-Men fan had that toy, and the casual X-Men fan, or like a super X-Men fan like yourself, knows that storyline well. So they're going to have that flashback, and they're going to give us Wolverine getting the metal pulled out of his freaking body without actually doing the full storyline of where that comic book comes from. So that's why I think that they understand the heartbeat, is that like, we want these moments, but they know that if we were to give these moments in the context of what they were originally told as, the show wouldn't be
good. Like people wouldn't watch a full season of that storyline.
Right. And it would take decades because the X-Men have been going since 1963.
Yeah, what you do in the comic books is not easily translatable to something that's a enjoyable TV show. And that's why I'm actually happy that I have not really read much of the Marvel comic books, because I don't get stuck in all the nerd shit that I'm like, well, this doesn't match up here and this timeline and blah, blah, blah. I don't fucking care. I'm just eating popcorn and watching it and enjoying it, because I was a nerd for DC and I did read those comic books. And when I see a DC movie or show that doesn't match up, it does bug me. And I hate that. So sometimes I think it's better if you go in without knowing the shit. And I'm enjoying this series. I think it's awesome. I think it's fun. Could they be telling stories better? Could they be including more stuff? Sure, maybe. I don't know. But I'm enjoying it for what it is.
I think that's the key. And that's, I was a huge comic book fan. I can enjoy this for what it is. Same thing with different movies and things like that. You know, is everything going to be what I want? No, but I can enjoy it for what it is.
It's nice to finally be happy about X-Men again, because the comics for the last 5 years have been absolute dog shit, in my opinion, storytelling wise. Great artwork, but
so Sword of X, House of X stuff you're talking about? Krakoa?
Yeah.
Okay.
House of X, Powers of 10, you know, all that stuff has been, I hate it with a passion, because none of the characters behave like it's why I didn't like the original show. I didn't feel like they felt like parodies of the comics. And
so you are a Turtles black and white fan, and then when you see the cartoon come out colorful, you're like, why are they being goofy?
Not in that one, because I didn't know the comic before the cartoon. I found the toys and then the cartoon. So I can appreciate what came before when I discovered it, but as far as, you know,
it's what we're exposed to.
Yeah, and like with the X-Men cartoon, the X-Men movies, I've not enjoyed any of them because so many of the characters don't feel. It doesn't have to be exact word for word story, because most of the MCU movies are not identical to the comics. But
so wait, you're telling me you didn't like Rogue in the X-Men 1 movie, where she's exactly like she's always been in the comic books?
But see, the thing with Rogue, when they introduce her in the comics, they introduce her after she almost kills Captain Marvel, or Carol Danvers, before she became Captain Marvel, when she was just Ms. Marvel. You don't even see her till halfway through that book, and like they were like, "Oh yeah, someone almost took out all of the Avengers. Too bad, you know, like Thor, I think, was the only one who wasn't around." So, you know, and she was like a kid when that happened, and she was originally a bad guy. So yeah, like so she has her powers, and then she gets kicked up to like super levels with Carol's powers. And like, again, I was okay with that, but like the personality wise, like Rogue didn't grow up in like a nice suburban home. Like they call her a swamp rat or a river rat. Like, you know, she was like always depicted in the comics as being kind of not a tomboy, but, you know, getting down in the mud and just being, you know, if someone punched her, she would have punched him right back as a kid kind of character. And I feel like the Anna Paquin Rogue, not saying that Anna Paquin acted badly, but she was just vanilla white girl from, other than the bad accent, didn't feel like she could have been from anywhere and had like no personality.
I forgot to mention, like, one of my favorite parts so far was in this past episode when Cyclops throws that costume to Cable, and he's like, "What were you expecting? Black leather?" I was like, "Yeah." That's fucking great.
But that goes back. That goes back to the original point of The Heart. Is that it's well documented that Bryan Singer said he wanted to distance himself from what it looked like, and that's why they went with the Matrix looking stuff. And if you have the leader of your whole studio and your whole production say they want to distance themselves from the original or the heart of the show or the concept or whatever, that's just that should be a red flag. Why we should call that for what it is now, and hopefully we steer clear of that, you know.
Well,
Mhm.
I don't want to totally derail us, but that's always been my problem with the 87 He-Man movie. Like William Stout is on record saying that he did not want it to look like the He-Man designs because he thought they were goofy. How the hell are you going to do a He-Man movie if you think the original designs are goofy? Like, go fuck yourself and make a different movie, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the
Yep.
people that are doing this stuff should have a love for the property,
Yeah.
or at least a respect, if they, at the very least.
Yes, and even even if it would have built up to that, and it's just that, and that's why this pokes back at that with this one line, is that he was doubling down on the fact that he thought it was stupid by throwing that "what did you expect" yellow spandex line in the movie. He was doubling down on his position of, I don't respect what it looks like.
Right.
And if anything has proven one thing, as goofy as and as crappy as the MCU's been for the past couple of years, the costuming and the looks of all these characters, they're not shying away from. This is what it is. It's pretend. Let's go pretend. F it.
Yeah.
Well, like, oh man, I had a thought and I lost it.
Well, while you come up with that, Brick something. Yes, you did miss the Armies of Ashmore talk, but the great thing about YouTube, we are not a podcast, as Jesse, eloquently told us, and you can go back and watch that later on anytime you want, and you can see the toys, and it'll be just as much fun as seeing it live. So,
can you turn it on and then put it in your earbuds and just listen to it while you're like going on a walk?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if your phone closes, it'll turn off YouTube.
Not if you pay for the
Not if you have premium.
Jesse,
Right,
did you think of the thought that you had lost?
No, because Brick just said, "Wait, explain YouTube to me more, Curtis."
my only thought for Jesse is, it's like killing two birds with one stone. We could revamp and we could make everything right that is wrong by one move, and that's because everyone hates Brie Larson. We can literally have Anna Paquin come in and jack up Captain Marvel, and everyone would cheer in the movie theater.
I was hoping that was what was going to happen at the end of the Marvels movie. I was hoping at the end of the Marvels movie, they were going to introduce Rogue, kill off Brie Larson, and jump us into the X-Men universe. So
that would have been really cool.
I would have loved it. So
yeah.
And how do we ban somebody from the chat? Is there a way?
You're gonna have to ban me because I don't hate Brie Larson either. I don't think she's.
Jesse's really good at banning people from our chat. So.
It was one time. It was an accident. It was on Shooting the Shelf, not here.
No, it was here.
The Banhammer with Kevin.
She's terrible.
It was here.
I'm not saying Brie is horrible. I'm saying that the conclusion that the general public has sort of made is that she hasn't been. Even the Marvel actors themselves have kind of just been like not a huge fan of her take of the character.
She is fucking terrible. And that last movie, the only saving grace of that movie was that kid. That kid is an amazing actor. Pulled off that role. Like I would watch a movie with just her. Much better actor, much better storyline. Yeah, that kid carried that movie. So let's see. We've got a ban Brick and First 58 and Jesse. Got it. So,
and then in the hierarchy is that kid's acting, then the cat, and then Samuel L. Jackson. That's like how the acting credits went.
Sure. I like Monica too.
She's all right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a problem with her.
What I was going to say about the podcast thing is that was carrying over a joke from yesterday's Legion's cast where they kept calling everything a podcast, and I kept saying it's not a podcast. So I was trying to carry it over tonight, and it has backfired on me.
Oh, it didn't backfire. It worked perfectly because we're having a good time with it.
Backfired for me.
It was great for us.
I'll say this. I with all the X-Men talk, like I enjoy the cartoon for what it is. Like it's not going to give me everything I want out of an X-Men property, but it's giving me more it's giving me more than I expected to get out of the animated show. I didn't think I'd make it through the first episode, let alone be excited
I'm
to
surprised
watch
you
it.
gave it a shot. I'm happy that you gave it a chance.
I'll give most things a shot. Most things, not everything. I
Yeah.
do have some lines, things
Well-
I know I don't like. But even then, I knew I didn't like the original show, but I gave this a shot.
Let me.
I'm not gonna raw dog some potatoes right out of the bin.
Raw dog potatoes. Let me correct myself. I'm not surprised that you watched an episode and gave it a shot, but that you were open-minded enough to allow yourself to like something that you did not like in its previous incantation. So I think that speaks to who you are. So,
and I know for a fact that I had a chip on my shoulder about the original card. Like I know it's a me problem because I was so into the comics and the Jim Lee and the Whilce Portacio and the artwork in the comics that everything about the show disappointed me. It's like thinking you're going to Pizza Hut, for lunch with your family or dinner on the weekend, and it's really just like generic Elios that didn't cook right in the toaster oven.
okay. Raw potatoes are great, though, by the way.
I'm
All
just
right.
picturing you. I'm picturing you raw dogging potatoes, and you're going to end up breaking out in a corn sweat.
That's Curtis. Curtis eats raw potatoes.
I don't often, but they are good. We're going to go to the theaters, and we just landed on 1987. Did we just do that? Yeah, we just did that. No, we did 2007 recently. So this week in theaters. So yeah, we're going to 1987. Let me.
Curtis is done talking about X-Men.
Well, it seemed like the conversation was kind of dying down.
Well, Dooch put out all of our. He pissed on my candle.
Yep.
If my opinion could sway you, you obviously didn't like it that much.
We're going to Maytober of 1987. All right. So we are doing This Week in Theaters, where we are traveling back in time to a year. This year is 1987. We're going to look at the top 10 movies in the theater, and you would be picking one to go see as you travel back in time. Keep in mind, you're not traveling back to the age that you were in 1987. This is you now at the current age that you are, traveling back to 1987. You walk into a theater, you've got money, you're going to buy a ticket to one movie. Which one are you seeing? Number one at the theater this week is Secret of My Success. Michael J. Fox, a talented young man, can't get an executive position without rising through the ranks. So he comes up with a shortcut, which also benefits his love life. Next, we have Creep Show 2. Macabre tales from the latest issue of a boy's favorite comic book, dealing with vengeful wooden Native American, a monstrous blob in a lake, and an undying hitchhiker. Next, we have Blind Date. Bruce Willis, workaholic, needs a date for dinner with new important clientele, but who his brother sets him up with could lead to disaster. Who's the woman in that? Do we know?
I don't know. Thumbnails like
that.
You can scroll down a touch. Meg Foster or Meg Ryan.
No. I thought it was like Nicole Kidman or something, but I could be wrong.
Kim Basinger.
Yeah, that's who it is. Yep. Next, we've got Gardens of Stone. Sergeant must deal with his desire to save the lives of young soldiers being sent to Vietnam. Continuously denied the chance to teach soldiers about his experience, he settles for trying to help the son of an old army buddy.
I know what Jesse's picking.
Next, we got Hot Pursuit. Dan arrives too late for his girlfriend's family's plane to the Caribbean. He gets the next. Once there, Dan's hot pursuit of his girlfriend includes 3 friendly locals, a dubious yacht skipper, corrupt police, hijacker, pirates, etc.
I gotta know who's in that one.
I can't tell. You looking that up?
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds.
Next, we have.
Oh, that's a John Cusack and Ben Stiller. What the hell?
Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
We have Lethal Weapon 1. Two newly paired cops who are complete opposites must put aside their differences in order to catch a gang of drug smugglers. Then we've got Platoon. Chris Taylor, a neophyte recruit in Vietnam, finds himself caught in a battle of wills between two sergeants, one good and the other evil. A shrewd examination of the brutality of war and the duality of man in conflict. Next, we have Project X. Matthew Broderick, an Air Force pilot, joins top secret military experiment involving chimps, but begins to suspect there might be something more mysterious the mysterious Project X. Then we've got Extreme Prejudice, Texas Ranger, and a ruthless narcotics kingpin. They were once childhood friends. Now they are adversaries.
It's the Fox and the Hound adult version.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And last, we've got Raising Arizona. When a childless couple, an ex-con and an ex-cop decide to help themselves to one of another family's quintuplets, their lives become more complicated than they anticipated. So those are the 10. Anything past 10, don't mind. We are going to the theaters. I'll start. I'm down at the bottom. We'll work our way up. This is a tough one. There's some good ones on here. I really like Raising Arizona. I like Secret of My Success. But I think for a movie experience, I think I got to go see Lethal Weapon. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to see Lethal Weapon. Jesse?
I am not going to see what Matt thought I was going to see. I'm going to Project X.
That's a good one, too.
I remember seeing that. I think we rented it. My dad, when I was spending the weekend at his house one time, and I just had a crush on Helen Hunt, and it was a story about animals. Unfortunately, they were hurting the animals, so that wasn't good.
That was sad.
But yeah, I would like to see that one. I would have liked to see that one in the theater.
Yeah, and I would just like to offer some advice to Matt. Like when we're going through these, just because you see military, that doesn't mean it's a Jesse movie. If it doesn't say Nazis, that's not a Jesse movie. Oh,
come on.
And you also have to wait until we get all the movies because there may be one with animals. And in the Jesse logic of watching movies, animals trump Nazis. So there you go.
There's definitely a hierarchy with Jesse.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Dooch, what are you seeing?
Tough one. I actually think I've seen Secret of My Success in a previous This Week in Theaters.
I think we did. I did it at. Did we do it as a Have You Ever? I thought we did.
We haven't done Have You. I know it's come up on theaters before. I'm pretty sure I've already traveled back in time to see
Project X. Okay. Project X has come up before too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm actually gonna pull a curveball, and I'm gonna go see Hot Pursuit, because I do like John Cusack movies, and I've never seen that one, so I'm gonna go back in time and see it as it was originally intended.
All right, Joe. We've got 3 people going to 3 different movies right now. The question is, are you going with one of us, or are you going somewhere by yourself?
I'm really tempted to go and see Platoon because I genuinely love that movie for what it is, but it can't top Lethal Weapon. I'm going with you, Curtis. That is probably my favorite movie that's on this list. Yeah, love that movie.
Beautiful. Me and Joe hanging out at the theater. I'll get the popcorn and make the hole in the bottom. MattRod,
to look forward to.
Which one of these 10 are you going to see? If you're talking, you're muted.
Or were you talking to me?
Yeah. Which one of these 10 are you going to see?
I just got yelled at by my wife.
Oh, sorry.
She didn't get to see the Northern Lights tonight. No one told her that she was going to be able to see the Northern Lights, and she's having a bad night now because of it.
Well, does she want to go to 1987 and watch one of these movies?
Me and my wife, we'd want to go see what was the one with Ben Stiller.
As Hot Pursuit, John Cusack and Ben Stiller.
We're either going to see Hot Pursuit. Am I taking my wife? Is that why I'm going to see a comedy?
You can go by yourself. You can go with her. You can do whatever you
I
want.
don't know, man. If my dad was still around, freaking Police Academy 4 is at 11. Damn. Honestly, it would probably be Lethal Weapon just because of the pace and the tone. That you get the action, you get the comedy, you get the goofiness. I think that's most likely what I would end up going to see. Popcorn flick.
Beautiful.
The correct answer is you're going to see whatever Rachel tells you you're going to see. That's
that's true too.
I'm going to see whatever movie you want me to see.
Just to kind of look at how many weeks in theaters. So Secret of My Success was number 1. That was their 5th week. Gardens of Stone and Hot Pursuit, that was their 1st week. And Platoon is the oldest one there. 21 weeks in theaters, still at number 7. So had a pretty good run. All right. That is this week in theaters. I think the only thing we may have left, if Matt is prepared, I don't know if he is, would be a lightning round. Do you have a lightning round for us?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so. You're typically not prepared.
He's like, oh, we got a podcast about X-Men. I'm not doing my job.
Right.
I knew it would already be a 3-hour episode easily just with having Rodriguez getting on here. So
you know what, dude? Listen, all I have to say is that everyone's been texting me and it's like, come on my show. Oh, drive and come see me. So then I can play with your toys. I'm not going to drive and come see you to play with your toys. All I'm saying is I'm not doing any more shows. Like, this is the only show I'm doing because I like you guys and you're fun to talk to.
Yeah.
And we got to go through the figures and everything and hear about some stuff. And if anybody wants to learn anything else, they can rewatch this or they can email me a email that's not going to get a response.
Okay.
And if we drive up to you, can we play with your toys?
Of course you can. Now I'm looking at Slime Milwick and Spectral Milwick, and because Curtis was saying interchanging all the armors and the hands and stuff, now I'm like, I'm gonna have some fun tonight.
We expect to see some pictures.
Matt Dooch, you can't come up with one question for us off the top of your head. Come on, one lightning round.
Wow, I think I am lagging horribly.
While you're thinking about it, Matt.
I got one lightning round.
Okay.
Who is your second favorite X-Men character?
Ooh.
Good guy. And who is your first favorite bad guy character?
Okay. Well, I guess we'll start with Joe since he's next to you, and we'll wrap ourselves around. Second favorite good guy, favorite bad guy.
Boy, this one's hard on the spot, but I'll just jumping back to the 90s. Second favorite was probably Archangel. I really liked what the arc that they did after Apocalypse, where he couldn't fully control the wings, where he'd lose control and they would do things on their own and stuff like that. So I enjoyed that storyline. So Archangel's probably my second favorite hero.
Nice.
And favorite villain is probably the toughest one. I'm going to go with Shadow King.
Ooh.
I really enjoyed the Shadow King storylines. Oh, God, I got to do a duel because it's right there. Shadow King storylines were awesome, and Mastermind, being part of the Hellfire Club. I always loved that he was not a great looking guy, but because of his powers, he always looked, strong and handsome, but that wasn't really him. But both of those characters, I love that in the stories, you couldn't tell what was real. As they were telling the story, things would happen and then it wasn't really what happened. And, I just like that type of storytelling where you're trying to get to the root of what's really going on. Like they're fighting a supervillain, but it's also a mystery. So, all right.
That's cool.
Lightning round.
Dooch.
Second favorite hero, I'd have to say Nightcrawler. And favorite villain, she was the first one that popped in my head when you said it, so I'm going to go with Mystique. I've always liked her powers, and she always felt like a real threat.
Okay. Jesse?
Psylocke is my second favorite X hero, and Magneto is my favorite X villain.
I'm going to go Wolverine, second favorite hero, and then I'm going to go Juggernaut, favorite villain.
Nice.
MattRod?
Second favorite hero is probably Gambit, and second favorite or first favorite villain. I mean I have to go. I have to go Magneto, just because of one of the few that I can say, the argument is so compelling that it's just like you get it. You get why.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess when villains are good, you see that side of the coin, and it's a believable side and a compelling enough side. So I definitely think that Magneto is going to be my number one for now.
All right, you convinced me. I'm switching to Magneto too. I was on the fence anyway, and that argument convinced me. All right. Well, folks, I think that is an episode.
I just want to throw
Matt,
one more thing out real quick, if I could.
Yeah.
Because I know at least some of our viewers are fans of the Fallout series. I don't know if anybody has gone back and started playing Fallout 4, but if you have, Bethesda just dropped some free Creation Club DLCs that you can download right now at no cost. And I haven't played them yet, but I did watch some videos on them, and it looks like some cool stuff. So if you're playing Fallout 4 and you like free stuff, get the hookup. Okay, that's all.
Speaking of video games, Joe, I did see this week that there have begun plans for a Baldur's Gate 4. Larian won't be doing it, but it looks like there will be a Baldur's Gate 4. FYI.
Yeah, Sven from Larian said that he had no interest in doing anything else with Baldur's Gate. I think he set the bar so high that he's not.
Yeah, they're done. It'll be somebody else, but it looks like. I didn't
made
know
so much money that I can't imagine Hasbro not pushing for another game. So
yeah, that's kind of what everybody was saying. So. All right, Matt, we really appreciate you being on, giving us some time to look at your figures and ask you some questions. It was really awesome. So thank you so much. That was great. Good talk about X-Men 97. Matt, where can people see you next? You got some other toy shows coming up? I know you just had some recently, but
honestly, the next physical show I'm going to on the docket's just going to be Legion's Con this year.
Okay.
We're going to have some cool, fun, new stuff, some unseen stuff, and we're going to have some fun reveals. So
awesome. Okay.
Hope to see you guys there. And again, I appreciate you guys and letting me kind of come on here and get back to the roots of why this is so much fun. And if anybody has any questions, they can find me ideas from Mars at Gmail. And for this type of stuff, for the Defenders of Eden, the Armies of Ahsmore stuff, just the Friends of Defenders of Eden Facebook group is kind of where I tend to throw a lot of stuff on, and it's just a little bit easier to manage just because the Defenders of Eden Facebook page itself, just the way algorithms work, stuff doesn't show up as much as the group page where it's like a fan page of the Friends of Defenders of Eden kind of shows up a little bit more on people's feeds and stuff. So,
well, Matt, I mean, we love you. We love your toy line. You got an open invitation. Anytime you want to come on and talk with us, you're more than welcome. So
appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Joe, are we in for some Joe Gonzalez live tomorrow?
Yes, sir. I will be on the Clubhouse tomorrow night on the Ostradamus toy, or at least that's my expectation. If I get to leave work at a decent hour, which has been hit or miss lately. But my expectation is to be on the Clubhouse tomorrow on the Ostradamus Toys channel. So
all right, I'll try to catch you there. Hopefully you're still there by the time I get there this time.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, if I get off of work on time, I will be.
Yeah.
But, you know, we'll
all right.
see what happens.
Dooch, you want to tell us what you got going on with Legends of Grayskull?
Yeah, so actually we just dropped a new episode shortly after this episode started tonight. So you can check out episode 117 right now. Curtis joined me again to talk about recent movie news, comic news, and the Mondo Sky Sled. So if you're interested in any of those, check that out on the Legends of Grayskull channel. And soon there, we will be starting a run-through of the entire Mike Young Productions He-Man the Masters of the Universe series. So look for 39 special episodes as we break down each episode.
Well, 40, because we also have an episode 0.
True.
Yeah.
So
So
gonna be lots of content coming for the foreseeable future.
beautiful. Jesse, you got something this weekend, right?
Yeah, there's something going on Shooting the Shelf. I don't know. We're celebrating some Yahoo's birthday. I don't know if you guys are doing anything Sunday night. Come hang out with us. No, it's Curtis's birthday on Sunday. Happy birthday, Curtis! Happy Mother's Day.
Hey,
We're
happy
gonna be hanging
birthday,
out,
Curtis.
Thank you. Thank you.
doing all sorts of courtesy. Courtesy. I lost
That's
it.
where the name comes
Oh,
from.
how old?
Derived from courtesy. Yep.
How old?
Be 47 this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So yeah, so it's an inevitable. All right, I don't know how much longer I'm going to make it here, guys. It's going to be an inevitable celebration of good times on Sunday night, 8:00. There will be some surprise guests coming by to hang out. So make sure you tune in. It will. I mean, it'll be the normal Shooting the Shelf, but it's not going to be as it's going to be a little more freeform than normal. So
I was told today, Darla told me that somebody sent me a gift too that they want me to open on the show. So apparently I've got a gift to open as well. So
I mean, it is your birthday.
that's true. It's true. So cool. Well, in addition to that, I will be on, I'll be backstage at Purple Gang Gang Live tomorrow. They have, I know they've got a guest. I don't remember who the guest is. You remember offhand, Jesse? Man,
No.
I'm such a bad producer. I should definitely know that. Who is it this week? Oh, we got Noah. That's right. We got Noah Pratt. Yeah, I mean, there's like all those enabler guys, and they picked the best
I know
one.
that guy.
So yeah. So check that out tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, that's where everybody's going to be. So appreciate everybody stopping by. We mentioned it last week, but just to reiterate, Have You Ever Is Not Dead. You will start seeing those soon. We've been doing some hard work on it. So you'll see that as a secondary thing. It's not going to be when we go live on Fridays, just FYI. And until next time. Yes. Till next time. See you on the OfWorld.
Hey,